Let's do
to
the poll again.
hit. Yeah, we're gonna do that again. We're gonna see if it's changed. Hit the smiley face when I do put the quick poll open right here. And if you are
Roku, thank you for the Galaxy.
Team Dean, do hit the crying face. You have to click it below the comment section, everyone. Smiley face for Brooks, crying face for Dean,
Rachel,
everyone.
thank you so much for the unicorn. You're awesome, you guys. I appreciate y'all for the love. Thank you so much, Rachel. It's so good to see you. I hope you're doing well.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot more even now. Yo, Maze, thank you for the unicorn. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. W Maze in the comment section as well. Thank you very much. Yeah, it seems a lot more even now, so people are joining in.
Real quick, gifts are cool, but would it be cool if like do we need to say like thanks for this? I'm not saying
No,
like that's.
I'm thinking during the debate what we
I
do
won't.
Okay,
is we
cool.
could just kind of ignore them and take a mental note,
Okay.
and then like
Let's write down,
periodically-
and then at the end we're gonna go over all the donations, everyone. So
Yeah,
we
actually,
will
Parker,
write that down.
Would you like to do that? Or like we could
Will
get
I be able
like,
to
some
write down
third party?
y'all's? I could try.
we could get some third
could you guys,
parties.
yeah, like a third party for each side to do that, because I'm gonna have to do it for mine as well. So
Yeah, that is a big job.
Dakota, thank you for the $10 on Cash App. Thank you so much, Dakota.
All right.
Matt will cover you, Dean. Brooks,
Awesome.
do you have anyone that could cover you? If not, I can try.
I want to
no,
make sure I think
but,
everyone.
I mean, I'm not too worried about it if you don't get them.
Okay, for sure. I'll try to.
Awesome.
I'll try to. All right, everyone. We're going to be starting the debate here in about 1 minute. Again, the debate is: does the Christian God exist? Again, with Brooks and Dean. Y'all have probably seen the the drama preceding this. If you have, do make sure to tap that screen, share the live to a few friends who might have known about it, as it's going to be starting here in about 1 minute. So again, if you do want to see the debate, make sure to do that. Again, you can support us through the various ways we just mentioned. But all right, everyone, I'm going to give it away to Brooks to start with the opening statement. Zessen, thank you for the $5, and Steph, thank you for the subscription. Go for it.
Take it away,
Okay.
Brooks.
All right, sounds good, Dean. I appreciate you being here, and I'm happy to be here. I'm excited to be here. I would just say first and foremost, I'm a Christian, and so I give all glory to God. I'm not here to glorify myself. I hope for the salvation of Dean and everyone watching. So whatever happens, I give all glory to God. And so I'm going to be reading an opening statement that I prepared. I think it's efficient for our time and for framing the discussion. So I'll be reading it out, and then we can jump right in. We're just doing open discussion after the opening statement. So here we go. According to Matthew 12:39 through 40, Jesus offered one sign to prove he was revealing God, his resurrection from the dead. So that's what I'll be defending today. We're not here to debate Old Testament ethics, biblical inerrancy, or another irrelevant topic that you may want to jump to. These are interesting and important topics, but not the subject of tonight's debate. I'm here to defend the truth of the resurrection and therefore God with a rigorous argument. And I want to be clear, this is an opening statement, so I'm going to be yapping, but I'm yapping important things, so pay attention. I don't know, can I do a green screen? I think I can, right?
Yeah, I
think
can make
it would
you
be helpful.
expand it as well.
It might be too small, though. Okay, you can't really see. I'm just going to keep it there, even though you can't really see.
No, I got you.
Okay, cool. So I'm just going to read it out. It's a deductive argument. Premise 1, there is testimony saying that Jesus was resurrected. Premise 2, this testimony comes from credible sources. Premise 3, there is only 3 logical possibilities with respect to credible testimony. It is true, it is deliberately false, or it is honestly mistaken. Premise 4, the credible testimony for the resurrection of Jesus is not deliberately false. Premise 5, the credible testimony for the resurrection of Jesus is not honestly mistaken. Premise 6, therefore the credible testimony for the resurrection of Jesus is true. Premise 7, if the credible testimony for the resurrection of Jesus is true, then Jesus was resurrected. Premise 8, therefore Jesus was resurrected. Premise 9, if Jesus was resurrected, then the God he revealed very probably exists. Premise 10, therefore the God Jesus revealed very probably exists.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to screenshot that, brother, and be able to pull it up so I could follow you here. Do you mind hopping out of the way just a second so I could take a screen? Just so I have that, so I don't lose you here. Sorry, go ahead and continue, man. I don't mean to interrupt your opening statement.
I take the most controversial premises to be 2, 4, and 5, so I'll spend most of my time defending them. Now I'll briefly touch on premise 9. To be clear, there's simply not enough time to dive into all the evidence and the nuance. For example, my paper on why I'm a Christian is 32 pages, but I can still give some strong reasons to believe they are true. So let's begin in order, starting with the second premise, that this testimony comes from credible sources. I define a credible source as a source from someone in a good position to know what actually happened, like by witnessing it directly or hearing about it directly from someone who did. The central sources are the writings of Paul, in particular 1 Corinthians, and the Gospels. Paul's authorship is rarely disputed, contrary to the Gospels, but we have good evidence for the traditional authorship. I will quickly go through it. Firstly, there are no anonymous copies of the four Gospels, and early Christians would have needed a reason to accept them and a way to differentiate them. Many people object that they do not identify themselves in the text, but this is true of many ancient historians like Tacitus and Plutarch. Secondly, there are strong and consistent external attestations of the traditional authors early on. This is stated universally with a geographical spread. This is in stark contrast to a truly anonymous book like the book of Hebrews. Thirdly, Mark and Luke weren't eyewitnesses or prominent in the early church, so it wouldn't make sense to invent them as authors unless there were good historical reason, like they actually were. Fourthly, the documents contain data consistent with the traditional authors. For example, Matthew, a tax collector, is focused on money. Mark, a disciple of Peter, emphasized Jewish custom and Peter. Luke, a doctor, was trained in physician terms, and John showed knowledge of Palestinian geography. And there's a lot more textbooky evidences I could go through to attest to the reliability. I'll go through them quickly as well. Firstly, Luke's approach to historical reportage is similar to other ancient historians like Thucydides and Josephus, and he also uses language suggesting an insider's perspective and authority like Demosthenes. I'm having trouble pronouncing these ancient names. Now, also in Acts, he uses the word we, suggesting personal involvement in events described. Secondly, historian Colin Himmer wrote a book that details 84 factual confirmations in the book of Acts. Just one example is a precise term for taking soundings and correct depth of water near Malta in Acts 27. Thirdly, the knowledge of personal names is congruent with the time and place, known as in scholarship as onomastic congruence. For comparison, the Gospel of Judas, a late Gnostic gospel, has significant disparity. The contrast shows the reliability of the text. Lastly, I will just list more reasons we can further discuss if Dean wants to. The Gospels are biographies. Everybody historically understood them to be historical accounts. They contain embarrassing information. They contain historically oriented fulfillment of prophecy. They contain undesired coincidences, and they leave out non-historical information. Woo! All right. I know that was a fire hose of information, but that's the reality of the evidence for the reliability of the Gospels. Thus, there are three logical possibilities. They were lying, mistaken, or telling the truth. Let's move on to the next controversial premise. It's deliberately false. I will give two main reasons against this. First, it seems that they had nothing to gain by lying. There's no obvious benefit to be gained by deliberately misleading people into believing that Jesus had been resurrected. Secondly, there was every reason not to lie about something like this. We know that early Christians faced intense persecution at the hands of the Romans. Paul describes that himself in his letters. Church history records that Paul, Matthew, and Mark were martyred. Generally speaking, one of the strongest human instincts is self-preservation. If the disciples really believed that Jesus was resurrected and that this ensured them eternal life, then their willingness to die for this belief is easy to explain. Next, if they aren't lying, then the next premise, perhaps they are mistaken. Dean can present a more detailed account if you like, and we can touch on that, but I'm going to attack the most popular class of explanations, that they are purely psychological factors. Firstly, it lacks an explanation of the empty tomb. They're at least genuinely believing their own reports. This means we would have to accept their witness to the fact that Jesus' tomb was really empty. This physical evidence can't be explained by a purely psychological hypothesis. Secondly, it would be an instance where everything we know about hallucinations would be contradicted, with individuals experiencing the same exceptionally rare polymodal hallucination over 40 days despite lacking anticipation of Jesus' resurrection. So it follows that the testimony is true. So Jesus rose. Ooh, that's hope. That's awesome. This provides the best explanation of the voluntary suffering, appearances of Jesus, women at the tomb, empty tomb, and immediate proclamation. I'm almost done. I know I'm speaking quickly. To briefly defend premise 9, that is, if Jesus was resurrected, then the God he revealed very probably exists. The justification comes from the context surrounding the life and ministry of Jesus. The resurrection of Jesus occurs in fulfillment of his prediction that this was the one sign that he was from God. It functions as a vindication of his divine claims. That event, paired with a religious context, which includes a prediction of said resurrection as a sign of divine approval, warrants an inference to God action as the best explanation of said resurrection. Dean needs to propose a better explanation if he wants to deny this. I'd like to see him try. And even on top of that, there are good arguments for the existence of God, more generally, and arguments that this leads to predictions about an incarnation, resurrection, and atonement. See Richard Swinburne, a good philosopher. But I won't even get into that because I think the case I presented today in this opening statement is sufficient. So to wrap up, I remind you all of the type of argument I presented. It's a deductive argument. So that means if the premises are true, then the conclusion logically and inescapably follows regardless of how Dean feels. So Dean will need to show one of the premises to be false. If or when he fails to do that, you will know who won this debate. Now then, all right, Dean, let's hear it.
All right, Dean, on to you. You can start your opening statement. You can go for it. You can have your time. I don't think it's going to take very long, but go for it, man.
Perfect. So, according to the Christian faith, God is a loving being that cares about us, but there are some people that are not cared about. I look at this world and I don't think that this is what we would expect if there was to be a being that existed without limitations that genuinely cared for us. For example, we have standards for parents. How do we know if we have a good parent or a bad parent? We look at how the child is treated. If the child is being starved, beaten, suffering from an illness that is curable, why would we say that that parent is good? In fact, we would probably say that parent is bad. Why wouldn't we have similar expectations for a God? If we would look at the child to determine if the parent is good, why wouldn't we look at creation to determine if the creator is good? We see horrible atrocities all throughout history. We often talk about the Holocaust. Excuse me. But there is other related atrocities that I bet you've never heard of. Like in World War II, nearly 200,000 non-Jewish Polish children were abducted from their homes merely because they looked German. And then they were turned into slaves, and they had medical experimentations ran on them, and the children labeled as racially valuable were forcefully assimilated into SS centers, re-educated, and then forcefully adopted out into German households. Those that did not have blonde hair and blue eyes were sent to Auschwitz to be starved, brutalized, and unalived. The parents of the abducted kids resisted their children being taken by the Nazis. Militias formed, mothers and fathers lost their own lives in attempts to protect the lives of their little ones. And what did God do? Let me ask you all this hypothetical question. If one of the parents had just simply allowed the SS soldiers to take their children, enslave their children, and run medical experiments on their children, even if it could be easily prevented, would we say that that is a good parent? I believe that everyone listening, including yourself, Brooks, would say no. And I'm not a Christian because I'm compelled to say the same thing about God. One might say that God did not intervene as this would forsake the free will of the Nazi soldiers. But what about the free will of the children? God could have either intervened and infringed upon the free will of the Nazi soldiers, or allowed them to continue, which led to them infringing upon the free will of one of the innocent children, turning them into slaves and test subjects for medical experimentation and so on. So whose free will do we value more? Whose free will should we value more, the Nazis or the victims of the Nazis? If Jesus was walking on the ground while those 200,000 children were being abducted, what would Jesus do? Would he join arms with the powerless Polish men and women attempting to prevent the SS soldiers from stealing the children that inevitably lost their lives in doing so? Or would the Nazi soldiers be ever so satisfied with Jesus sitting back and simply allowing these things to occur with God in complacency? More importantly, is free will even of concern? Can the free will of man thwart the plan and or the intention of God? Not according to Scripture. For prophet Isaiah said, "The Lord of hosts has sworn, as I have designed, so it shall be, and as I have planned, so it shall come to pass." Does this mean that God had planned the abduction of the 200,000 children, or their enslavement, brutalization, starvation, and deaths? Would you say that it is possible that God had good reason to allow for these things? Look, even if Jesus resurrected doesn't mean that he's a good God. I don't know what happened 2,000 years ago, but this doesn't get God off the hook for what happened to the Polish children. And if anything, when we're talking about premise 9 of your argument, the probability of Jesus' resurrection indicating that the Christian God exists, I think that there is some very large issues with the reconciling of the evil and suffering that exists in the world and what this would tell us about the special relationship that God has to the world.
All right, seems like we're done with the opening statements, everyone. We're going to move on to open discussion. I'm only going to step in on the basis of people like overcutting people off. All right, so I'm going to give it off to everyone. You guys can start wherever you guys would like. Go for it.
Yeah, so I'm curious, you said with premise 9, you questioned the probability of that statement. So is your only argument kind of this problem, the evil question?
Yeah, so when we're talking about the problem of evil, specifically the one that I'd posit, I think that there was some necessary concessions that you would have to make about the world around us in order for it to be congruent with a God, right? Especially a God that is all good.
Why should I think that?
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and I'll go ahead and detail that issue to you. So I think, like, first of all, we must understand what exactly you take evil to be. I take evil to be something that shouldn't occur. Would you agree or disagree with this?
Why should I believe that?
Well, because that's how we understand bad things in normative ethics.
No, I don't think that's a good consensus. Like, for example, when we talk about like deontological ethics or utilitarian ethics, it's good or evil is determined based on if you're acting in accordance with your moral duty or acting that leads to more flourishing or more pleasure. And that's how we would define a good or bad.
Well, that's the deontological. Well, sorry. So those are like the specific normative frameworks. So we could have different ways to determine what should or shouldn't occur. Like, for instance, a utilitarian might say what should occur is what maximizes the utility for all, while a deontic might say what should occur is the minimization of rights violations. But all things considered, right, normativity is just talking about oughts and ought nots. Sorry. So if something is good, it means it should happen, and something is bad if it shouldn't happen. So I just simply ask you in return, if you disagree with this idea, can you please give me an example of something that's good that shouldn't happen?
Well, do you think there's normativity that are not moral matters?
No.
For example, I ought to speak according to the rules of English grammar. Do you think that's a moral good?
So I think that there's different types of ought claims, but ought claims that pertain to normativity is specifically in the context of morality. Because an ought claim is just the evaluation.
That sounds redundant. You said ought claims that.
So there's moral oughts and non-moral oughts.
Ought claims that pertain to normativity.
Yeah, so there's like moral oughts and there's non-moral oughts, like epistemic oughts. Because all that an ought is the evaluation of a success-failure relationship. So if I make like a good move in chess, right, well then that is just the success of a success-failure relationship. It's like what I should do in accordance with my own values and preferences. But specifically when we're talking about God, you'd say that God's values and God's preferences and his will as a whole is literally the grounding for what is good. If God has a preference for something, it is good by virtue of God's preference. But see, the same thing can't be said about me. So yes, all of God's preferences would pertain to like moral ought claims. Meanwhile, mine not necessarily.
Okay,
I'll just simply ask you: would you agree that it's okay to say something is good if it should happen and something is bad if it shouldn't?
I'm not gonna answer like what my psychological position is. I'm asking you why I should think that. So when you say that good is what ought be done, it seems you're changing the definition. You think good is what morally ought to be done, but that seems circular.
Wait, we're talking about like moral ought claims. So if something is good, it means that it should be done in this like non-epistemic sense.
Okay, how do you define good?
So it's an internal critique. So this would be operating off of your notion of goodness.
And you're assuming that it's ought to be done, yeah, right?
Well, like regardless of what your specific normative framework is, at the end of the day, it will still just tell us what should be done. Like I'll just simply ask you, can you name something that is good that shouldn't be done?
Okay, for example, I'll bite even though I think there's some things I can push on. In philosophy, there's like scenarios called Sophie's Choice. And so this originally comes from a book or a movie. I'm actually not too familiar in the history. But basically the idea is that suppose that there are logically exhaustive options of two cases of evil, okay? And let's say in one instance it's lesser evil. So either you ought to either kill someone or kill 5 people. Okay, I think in this case you ought to kill one person.
You say you should kill one person instead of the 5.
Listen, you ought to kill one person. Does that mean killing one person is good in this case?
Well, if like if you're running like utilitarianism, you'd say it's good, all things considered, because the opposite is 5.
I thought it wasn't about normative frameworks.
Well, I'd have to imply normative framework in order to answer if it's good.
Then how do you expect me to answer the question if your blanket statement is that what good is what ought to be done?
Well, regardless of what your normative framework is, that's just what it tells us. So, like, for example, so like without like telling like me why it ought to be done, at the end of the day, it's still something that you think should occur. Like, for instance, you think people should or shouldn't sin?
I think people should not sin.
Because it's bad to sin, right? So bad things tell us what shouldn't occur.
That doesn't prove that they're identical.
So would you be okay? So I want you to go ahead and give me an instance of something that would fall outside of this case, right?
I just gave you.
I'll
give you another example.
So name something that is good that shouldn't happen. Like because if you say like let me touch on your specific example because you gave me.
Let's let Brooks respond real quick.
Real quick, I'll give you an example. You asked me a question. Okay. So I can flip it. Let's say this. I think it is so good. I think it is so good to give up your life, become a doctor, go to the middle of nowhere. It is so good to do that. But I also think it's good to become a firefighter, just like live very modestly donate all your money. Would you say in both cases you ought to? It seems like a contradiction because
those are epistemic ought claims. When we're particularly
those are
talking about
epistemic ought claims.
yeah, when we're talking about like
What about that was epistemic?
yeah, they're good because they're in accordance with your preference. For instance, if I don't have a preference for becoming a firefighter, then it wouldn't be good in this practical sense for me to become a firefighter.
What are you talking about? Okay, when I say it's good, this is not an epistemic claim. When I say
So you're talking about moral claims.
go ahead. When you say epistemic ought, what does that mean?
So it's just like in accordance with my preference or some type of success-failure relationship is present. Like for instance, if I'm playing chess with a friend, like I should like checkmate their king, right? But when I'm saying that I should checkmate their king, I'm not saying that it would be morally good for me to checkmate their king, right? These ought claims are pertaining to knowledge, like what you should believe, right?
Do you
But
think
I do just want to clear this up, right? I do just want to clear this up. So when we are talking about like these shouldn't claims only in the context of morality, right? There's other shouldn't claims that don't pertain to morality. When we're talking about the problem of evil, we're only talking about morality. And I just want to agree on a conceptual basis with you. So if something is good, it means it should happen, right? In this moral sense. If something is bad, it means it shouldn't happen in a moral sense. So I'll just simply ask you if you agree or disagree with me. Because if you disagree with me, I'll ask you to not red herring me by bringing up these other senses of shoulds
Red
and
herring.
shouldn'ts.
You're the one that asked me the questions. What do you mean red herring? Okay, I'll answer the question again. When I say that, you said give me an example that's good, but you ought not do it. And so I give you an example of firefighter and doctor. Okay, and
Can you explain that to me?
real quick. Epistemology is about knowledge. Okay. And so when we're talking about morality, I'm using a framework. And so you said, tell me that something is good that you ought not do. And I said, a doctor or a firefighter, give your life, donate all of your money. And so that was not an epistemic ought, that was a moral ought. And so this contradicts your view because
Wait, so I asked you for an example that is morally good, but shouldn't occur in then firefighters and doctors. I don't see how that pertains. Maybe you could explain to me.
Okay,
But
I mean, I can explain
for
it, so-
instance, in the case of the
can
firefighter and
explain it.
doctor, you might have compelling reasons, but what you should do is what you have the most reason to do, right? So like, for instance, when you granted me the idea of unaliving one person or unaliving 5 people, we'd say you should unalive the one person because you have the most reason to unalive the one person, because in doing so, you're saving 4 other lives, right? So like, for instance, I'll give you an example of this. When I get a vaccine, there's a little bit of pain, thank you for the galaxy, of the needle entering into my arm, right? But we'd say that I should experience that pain because all things considered, that is going to yield me the great benefit of being vaccinated to COVID or something along those lines, right? And then I just simply ask you, would it be bad for God to take away our free will?
Real quick, I'm not gonna, we're going to keep going on this.
Can I demonstrate it to you?
In order for me to go down this line, we need to finish this debate about what good is. And so, yes, I think in that case, you ought to do it and it is good, but that's a non sequitur. It doesn't logically follow that you ought to do all good things.
No, that's not the claim that I'm making.
That's literally what you define good as, or what oughtness was.
So something is good if like you should do it, something is bad if you shouldn't do it, but you also have things that are merely permissible that would be amoral in a sense.
Okay,
But like that's just like not relevant to the problem of evil.
that's going against your claim. What do you say? I'm interacting.
What are the other 3 options?
You
So
haven't given an argument that's not a non sequitur.
thank you
that
so much
proves
for
that
the Rose
oughtness is
Nebula.
good.
Dean, let's let him speak real quick.
What is that, bro? Yeah, so I don't think open chat on accident. I don't think you've given an argument that's not a non sequitur and why you should define good that way.
Wait, I'm so sorry. I'll just simply ask you. So yeah, we're talking about axiology here. Like essentially, like the implicit statement that you're making is I'm imposing my values onto you, right? So I'll just simply ask you here. When we're talking about morality, something is either obligatory, merely permissible. Thank you, Rachel. Let that go through. Or impermissible. Are there any other options when we're talking about good in a normative notion?
No, but I'm not sure how that's relevant to your claim.
Wait, okay, answer my question and I'll explain its relevance.
You're equivocating deontology and axiology. I don't know why we should identify it.
I'm asking you a question. If we're talking about good in a normative notion, something is either obligatory, merely permissible, or impermissible.
Okay.
You agree to that, right? So, and
Sure.
something is obligatory if it's something that you should do. Do you agree to that?
Yeah, that's what it
Okay,
means.
and something is merely permissible if you can do it. It's not necessarily the case that you should or shouldn't, correct?
Okay.
And something is impermissible if it's something you shouldn't do.
Okay.
So then earlier when you're telling me that good doesn't necessarily reflect what you should do, you were lying.
No, that certainly doesn't follow. Like you didn't respond to either of my counterexamples.
Wait, no, you just agreed though. You just said something is obligatory
does
if it's
not
something you
follow
should
at
do.
all.
You said something is merely permissible if it's something that you can do, and something is impermissible if it's something that you shouldn't do. Something's good if you should do it.
doesn't-
Something's bad if you
doesn't
shouldn't do it. You
follow
just
that it's
agreed.
synonymous.
Wait, I'm so sorry. What are the other options here?
Even if it's logically exhaustive.
That's not another option.
I don't think good means obligatory.
I mean, so something, okay, can something be good that's merely permissible?
Can you break that down? What do you mean by that?
Something is merely permissible if you don't have a reason to do it or you don't have a reason to not do it, right? But can something be good without any justifying moral reason?
I'm not sure. I mean, like, I think, like, for example, like, consciousness is good.
Okay, but that's probably a practical sense of good. Are you saying that we should have consciousness?
Well, that sneaks in your presupposition that goodness is oughtness.
Okay, listen, so,
Real quick, wait. I'll concede. We can move on. I don't want to impede this about the definition. I'll concede good is what you ought to do. I don't want to impede progress.
wait, would you say, so just
What are you
real
reading?
quick, I've notes on my computer here to do with my opening statement. But just like real quick, so when we're talking about the Polish children, as I detailed in the context of my opening statement, do you think that's something that should happen or that's something that shouldn't happen?
With respect to what?
Fuck morality, brother.
No, I'm saying, like, for example, like, this has implications for the problem of evil. I don't think that should
Wait,
happen.
don't anticipate the argument. We'll get there. Listen. I think we could actually have a good conversation. We could get somewhere if you just won't anticipate the argument. We could actually have a really productive dialogue here and try to evaluate truth. But let's just, figure out the conceptual underlying
Yeah,
basis here.
okay, so-
The Holocaust.
I'll
Should the
answer the question.
Holocaust happen or shouldn't the Holocaust happen?
In isolation, it should not happen.
In isolation, it should not happen. And would you say that's because in isolation it's evil?
Yes.
So something is evil if it shouldn't
That
happen.
doesn't logically follow.
So can something be evil even if it shouldn't happen?
We already went over this, but like I said, I'll concede.
I think it does logically
Listen,
follow.
no, it doesn't.
I think it absolutely does logically follow.
Let's let Brooks finish real quick.
One example does not prove they're synonymous. But like I said, I'll concede. Let's say yes. In this case, yes.
Okay, so something is evil if it
can
shouldn't
move on.
happen. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I'll
I'll just simply ask you. So all things considered, should the Holocaust have occurred?
All things considered, what? What are you considering?
Like all the given facts.
I think the language is ambiguous. I think all things considered, with respect to God, I think God ought to allow it. But all things considered with respect to the act or what happened, I think it should not happen. Or ought
Do you
not
think
happen.
that? Okay, yeah, I have a question. So yeah, that was not the question. All things considered, is the
Yeah,
Holocaust? good?
sometimes you ask questions and they need elaboration and it's ambiguous, so I can elaborate on it. Yeah.
So I don't think that was ambiguous at all. All things considered, should the Holocaust have occurred?
But it's not clear. Should. Should it usually refers to like agents. What are you referring to? Should with respect to what?
What do you, with like respect to a success-failure relationship on what's good or bad?
I think it's an important distinction with should.
Wait, I have a question. Does God allow things that all things considered shouldn't happen?
Are you just like reading something? What are you reading?
No, I look off screen when I debate. I do this all the time. I'm
Yeah,
not
I guess
maintaining
like
eye
you're reading
contact.
Discord or something, but I don't want to accuse you, but that's my impression.
Okay, so I mean, if you're just gonna make baseless claims, it's kind of embarrassing for you. I'm not reading.
Well, it just seems
Discord.
like you're looking at. Okay, anyways, we can move on.
I just look away when I think. Anyone
Okay,
that
no problem.
watches my
Yeah.
lives. One second. No. Anyone that watches my lives can agree to this in the chat.
Okay, cool. I'm in.
One sec. Can we get some ones in the chat if like I'm
Awesome.
always looking away when I'm debating?
Okay.
I
You
can't
can say
actually
it again.
attest that he does do that. But Dean, you should keep your eyes closed.
Closed. No, dude, you can look wherever you want. No problem. I
Rachel,
just
I
thought it
appreciate
was-
you. So yeah, do you think that God would allow things in which all things considered shouldn't occur?
all things shouldn't occur. I mean, it just depends what you're referring to.
I'm asking you if there's like any case where this would occur. Would God like allow anything that all things considered shouldn't occur? Yes or no?
Yes.
Perfect. So all things considered, an all good God would allow something that's ultimately evil. And I would like to give you my issues with this, because if an all good God were to allow something in which is ultimately evil, something in which ultimately shouldn't occur, in what sense is that God all good? Might we be able to agree on an instance of something that is ultimately evil? Would you say that maybe the Holocaust is ultimately evil, or like pedophilia is ultimately evil? Let's agree on an example of this so I can make my point clear.
No, I don't think they're ultimately evil.
Okay, but you did say that God would allow for something that is ultimately evil, right?
No, I wouldn't say it's ultimately evil. God doesn't allow something that is ultimately evil. I would say God allows something that's evil.
I asked you like three
Okay,
seconds
then-
ago if God
then-
would
then I
allow for
misheard
something
you.
that's ultimately
Yeah, then I
evil.
misheard you. It's no problem.
So would a God allow for something that's ultimately evil, or something in which all things considered shouldn't occur?
I mean, so let me clarify. Let's slow down. What do you mean by ultimate evil?
Just something that is all things considered like it shouldn't occur. When I say ultimately evil, those two things mean the same.
I think all things considered, or ultimately, God doesn't allow things that are ultimately evil.
Yeah, so like all things considered, the Holocaust is good. Because it doesn't allow things that are ultimately evil, and he allowed the
That doesn't
Holocaust.
logically follow.
Wait, okay. Well, it logically follow that it's either all things considered good or all things considered morally permissible, right? And then also, if you'd say that all things considered, evil is permissible, what's the difference between an amoral action and something that's evil, right? Because all of a sudden, under the Christian worldview, evil seems as if it doesn't exist, right? Because God only allows things in which are ultimately good, and all in which is good would fall under God's will. And since God allows this quote unquote evil, it would fall within his will. So in what sense is it bad? Does this mean that God has bad things in his will?
Okay, I mean, let's say this, right? Let's take. It seems like under this view, you would think that like moral authorities, it would entail incoherence if they allow evil. So like for example, like would you say that like freedom of religion is good?
Freedom of religion is good. I could say it's good. I could say it's bad. It doesn't matter because this is an internal critique on your God. I'd like to say.
I'm showing the incoherence in your argument. It's
Okay.
third in the world.
Sure. Show me the incoherence. I think freedom of religion is good.
Okay, so for example, like me exercising my right to spread the gospel, like that's good that I have the freedom to do that, right?
Yeah, it's good you have that freedom.
So it seems like under this that the moral authority is the government here. So the government ought to allow me to
Be able to spread the gospel. Yeah, man.
So you think me spreading the gospel is good because the government ought to allow me to do that?
Yeah, sure. But like this is.
So
from,
you
like, my
think that
standpoint.
like yeah, you think Christianity is false, right?
Yeah, most likely.
You think
I
it's
do.
good to spread falsehood?
In some cases, I
You
think.
think
it could bring
Christianity is
communities
oppressive?
together.
Like it's oppressive against marginalized communities?
In some cases, it can
Do you think
be.
it's good to oppress like marginalized communities and spread that falsehood?
No, I don't think it's okay to
Well, that's
oppress
the
marginalized
incoherence of the
communities.
view, yeah.
Can you explain that? How that would pertain to my view? Could you like explain the correlation? I don't get it.
Sure. Yeah. So when you're saying that God ought to allow this thing, I'm making an analogy that the government ought to allow this thing, and so you run into absurdities if
Wait, are you saying that God ought to allow free will?
I think God ought to allow things.
I don't necessarily
more
think
just by
that.
reason.
Yeah, I don't think that like we're talking about impermissible things here, but also like I don't think so. Like it'd be bad to allow you not to do this.
That's not what I
But
said.
I don't think it would be bad. Wait 1 second. I want to make a point here. So it'd be bad if the government didn't allow you to do certain things, but I don't think it would be bad if God didn't allow you to do certain things. Like for instance, God is all good, but yet God does not possess the ability to do bad things. So but yet God has free will. So it seems like free will is perfectly compatible
Why should I
with
think
a
that?
nature. Why should you think that? Can God do things that are logically contradictory?
That's a question. It's not an argument.
Yeah, it's a question to show you my argument. Can God do things that are logically contradictory?
No.
No. So would you say it's a logical contradiction for an all good God to do a bad thing?
Yes.
Okay, so God can't do bad things given he's all good.
Yeah, I'm not sure where the argument's
Awesome.
going.
But yet, do you think God has free will?
Yes,
Awesome. So you can have free will without the ability to do bad things?
I think it's logically possible.
And can God do all things in which are logically possible?
Yes.
And do we live in a world with bad things?
Yes.
So God could have created a world in which does not possess any bad things as free will is compatible without the ability to do bad things, but yet God preferred a world in which possesses evil?
Well, I wouldn't say that it's possible for creatures to be morally perfect or have free will with and always choose the good, for example.
Can you give me the symmetry breaker between God and creatures, or will you just
Yeah.
admit to special plane?
Yeah, so I would just say that it seems to be the case that, and especially under the Christian worldview, that when we're talking moral perfection, this seems to be like a uniquely divine property. And
No, it's
what's
not.
What do you mean, no, it's not?
Do people in heaven, do they have the ability to do bad things?
Well, there's a number of views in Christianity, so
I'm
it's not
asking for your
relevant.
view.
Yeah, so for this conversation, I could say there's no free will in heaven.
Oh, wait, but you said, for this conversation, wait, I'm asking you what you think, not just for this conversation. Do you think there's free will in
I
heaven?
don't have a firm view on it. That's why I'm saying for this conversation, I can say we have no free will.
Okay, but heaven's perfect, right? So it's perfect to not have free will. So God he could have just simply not given us it,
No, that
and that
is
would have been
false.
good
That's
between
false.
God because heaven is
So
good
you're
and there's
jumping
no free
around.
will in heaven.
It's called issues with heaven. And so one of the issues here is that the reason heaven is good or the reason heaven is after is because it's perfect because there was the antecedent choice to choose to go to heaven. That's the reason.
Oh, I don't think so. Do aborted fetuses go to heaven?
That's completely irrelevant. You're pivoting. Can you respond?
It's absolutely not irrelevant at all because you said that there is a necessary antecedent choice to choose God on earth in order
Okay,
to go to
then-
heaven.
then I'll just
Aborted
say I'm a
fetuses don't
Molinist.
have that choice. So
I'll
do
just-
aborted fetuses go to heaven?
I mean, I don't have a position of that. I don't know what will happen.
Would it be would it be unjust?
That's
to
irrelevant.
send-
That's irrelevant. Let me respond to my
Wait,
argument.
I have a question. Would it be no? It's not irrelevant. Would
Yeah,
it
it
be
is.
unjust? Well, no, it's not. Please
No,
don't
with
just say it's
respect to-
irrelevant. Would it be unjust to send a soul that didn't have the opportunity to choose God to hell?
I'm agnostic on that question, like I said.
Wait, you're agnostic if God could just send us all straight to hell and still be all
No,
good?
I'll answer this as a Molinist because I don't think that will happen. I would say God knows if that child were to live further, he knows what they would freely choose. And so your problem is solved.
Oh, wait, well then why can't he just know with all of us and send us straight to heaven or hell without sending us to earth in the first place? Because typically
Yeah, okay.
the Christian
Yeah,
response here is that our time on earth is a test and it would be unjust for God to not let us live out our life and make those decisions with our own free will. But the thing is that's exactly what you just said in the case of the aborted fetus. You said God knows what they'll do in the future and he sends them straight to hell or straight to heaven without sending them straight to earth. So I have a question. Is it wrong for God to send us straight to hell and straight to heaven without letting us live out our lives first?
No, not necessarily. I just think you can't say what would happen or what will happen without God playing that out. So I think it's morally significant that we get to play out this time on the earth, but say it doesn't happen for all people. You don't know all the relevant factors to say, well, if it would be wrong in that case or this case, because you don't know all the possible worlds that God could create.
So yeah, you just say that making free choices is not required for God to judge us?
Sorry, what?
You just got to lie. Yeah, so would you say that making free choices is required for God to judge us?
Making free choices is required for God to judge us. I mean, like, what do you mean by that? Like, actively, like it happened in the past, or it's a little ambiguous.
Yeah, like can God judge me for something that I haven't done yet, like justifiably?
Going over like molecular biology.
From what point of view?
I got banned, but we did get the account back. So do tap that screen, share the live. It does seem like it's sending out right now. So it does seem like we're pretty good. We're pretty good. So do give it a second. We're going to get them up here in a second. Parker, mute the GIFs. Is there a way I can do that? Because I will mute the GIFs. Just let me know. Just let me know. The debate's going to keep going, everyone. So do tap that screen, share the live, comment in the comment section. The debate is going to continue going on. We're going to get them here in the guest box real quick, and we're going to start the debate here in a second, y'all. We did get banned. We got a guest violation, but then we just got the account back, so we are good. We are good. But do tap that screen. Do share the live, y'all. Y'all already know the deal. Just turn the comments off. No, we're not going to turn the comments off. But yeah, do tap that screen. Let's run it up to 100,000 likes. Do not report everyone. Neither of us want either side to get banned. That is just not advantageous towards productive dialogue, everyone. So do tap that screen. Do share the live. Comment in the comment section which side you're on. Appreciate the sunglasses. Thank you so much. If you were on Dean's side, everyone, do a crying face. Right? If you are on Brooke's side, do a smiley face. You have to click the emotes below. Crying face for Dean, smiley face for Brooks, everyone. Crying face Dean, smiley face for Brooks. All right, everyone, do tap that screen. We're going to get them up here in a second. Once we get people in here, we'll be able to keep going. Let me message them and see what's going on. It is taking a second for them to join in. Do give it a minute, though. We'll get everything back. I do apologize. TikTok is really annoying with taking things down. But I do apologize. Also, everyone, don't report my videos. I just had like 2 videos get taken down completely because it seems like people are reporting them. Please don't report the videos. We're gonna start getting people in a second. Again, once Dean and I'm gonna message them. Why are they not in the guest box? Like, bro, is join up. Yeah, what are they doing? Let me get them. Go 1 second. Dean, bro, join. What is he doing? You are not moderating fairly? Are you kidding me? I literally only told Dean to stop talking. Like, okay, if you think I'm not moderating fairly, yes, I'm giving the theists, right, a heads up. Like I'm literally giving them extra slack. Dean, stop. Okay, we do not have Brooks in the guest box just yet, but once he sends a guest request, we're going to be able to do this. So you tap that screen. Let's run it up to 150,000 likes. Share the live as well, everyone. I am not ending the live, everyone. We got banned because people are reporting in the comment section. So please do not report. It does take the lives down and prevents us from engaging in productive dialogue, everyone.
Yeah.
Emily, thank you for the $5. Thank you so much. You have to restart the turn. I'm not going to do that. Finn, thank you for the paper crane. Thank you so much.
Welcome
All right, we got him in the guest
everyone.
box. We can just like restart where we were.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that our conversation was getting a little convoluted,
Yeah.
but I'll just go ahead and repeat my main point and see if we could kind of take it from there. And so yeah, so I think like the main question that I had asked you was if God allows things that all things considered shouldn't occur, and you had responded to this yes. So the only issue with that statement is, well, if God had reasons to allow it, well, then that means it should occur.
Yeah, so I mean, I would just say it just seems like a non sequitur. I think there's an important distinction between God ought to allow it versus that person ought not do it. Like, let's think about like, I don't know, some kind of example of, I don't know, I can think of a weird example. Let's just say there's like one creature and this creature ought not like kick a bucket. I don't think it follows that because God ought to allow him to kick that bucket, if there's some greater good, that kicking that bucket ought to happen. It just seems like a non sequitur. There's no logical connection.
Okay, so when we're talking about God and we're talking about what he allows, we're saying that he has...
Sorry. Real quick, are you recording this, Parker? Okay, cool. Let me make sure. Go ahead, sorry.
I get what you're
I have the
saying.
recording split up, but I'll make sure to deal with that.
So I get what you're saying. You're saying there's non-good reasons to allow some things, right? But what I'm saying, if God has a reason to allow for something...
I'm not saying there... I'm necessarily not saying there's non-good reasons. I'm saying in this case, even if we accept your definition, like I said, it's problematic. I don't think it follows that you ought to do that because God allow that. There's just no logical connection. Like you keep saying that, but
No, that's not the argument. I'm not saying like there's things that we should do in some like weird sense. I'm just saying like for what reason shouldn't we do it, right? But listen, if you're saying that I shouldn't sin, you're saying all things considered, if I sin, that shouldn't have occurred, right? But the only issue is this means that God is allowing, all good God is allowing things that are all things considered evil. And then in what sense is he all good? Let me ask you this question. If we had an all evil God, right, we would expect their primary motivation when they're discerning what they want to allow and what they don't want to allow to be evilness. Would we expect, right? Or would it even be logically possible for an all evil God to allow for an afterlife of eternal bliss where there's no suffering and there's no pain? It is only goodness.
Yeah, so it seems like you're making two different arguments. We can stick on this argument, or we can.
It is
jump
a
to the next one.
conceptual.
I think-
It is a conceptual analogy, sir.
Yeah, well, I would say I think you might have a reason to allow a bad act, but that doesn't follow that the act is good. That's the fundamental issue, and I think you're just not going to be able to show that
It's
connection.
gonna follow
Dean,
that
let's let him finish, Dean.
Of course.
You're not going to be able to show that connection, and I would like you to see that you address my argument. I mean, are you just like I'm just curious, like for this debate, are you just implicitly conceding that the resurrection happened, and you're just questioning whether like God did it or how it happened?
So as far as like the resurrection goes, I think there's two things here. If the resurrection occurred, I think that we would be like disputing premise 9 of yours, showing that it would be improbable. But there's also reason to reject resurrection. But like I would like to try to make my
So
point
what are
here,
the reasons?
but I don't want to pivot, right? I want to stay on topic. I bring up a point, and now you're pivoting to that. But I get you. But I
the
want to
issue is-
finish out my point here. If God allows something, God has good reasons to allow it. Yes or no?
Say it again.
If God allows something, God has good reasons to allow it. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. And if God has good reasons to allow for something, that means all things considered, that action is good. Because if it wasn't all things considered good, then why would God need good
How does that
reasons to
follow?
allow
That,
it?
that does not follow. That does not logically follow.
Because when we're saying all things considered, we're just simply stating, given all the facts, including God's good reason to allow it. Like,
That does not
let me
follow.
ask. It absolutely
you can
does.
keep saying all things considered, all things considered, all things considered. It doesn't follow that the act itself is good. That does not follow.
Wait, the act itself would be all things considered good in the sense that it should occur for whatever good reasons God has.
There's a clear distinction between something should occur, and God,
Like the Holocaust.
God should allow it to occur. Do you understand that distinction?
Wait, so are you saying that God desires to allow it to occur, but God doesn't desire for it to happen?
I'm not sure what that question's coming from. Like, can you break that down?
Yeah, so let's just say if God thinks that the Holocaust, all things considered, shouldn't occur. Well then, so you're saying that the Holocaust is all things considered
see,
impermissible.
you keep muzzling in this equivocation. You keep pushing in this talk of
I get you.
all things considered, this thing shouldn't
all the
happen.
facts.
And there's a clear distinction between this act of something shouldn't happen versus God ought to or should allow it to happen.
Okay, so something, all things considered, can be impermissible, but God
Well,
should
let's say,
permit
for
it?
example.
Wait,
yeah.
no. You're saying an action is all things considered impermissible, but you're saying God permits it. So why does God permit impermissible things?
Because he has good reason to.
Well, the good reason would just be explaining why it's permissible.
No, it wouldn't. That doesn't follow. That's
Yes,
not-
it does. Yes,
No,
it does.
doesn't.
If
That's
something
not-
is
no, it doesn't.
impermissible,
No, it does not.
then it,
No, it does not. No, it does not. That's it. I mean, I'd like you to
There
see.
you go.
I'd like you to see you engage my argument, but we can keep.
wait, I want to touch on this because if something is
Listen, let me explain
impermissible,
what-
then why does God permit it?
Yeah, let's say, for example, we can go back to this example, like a trolley problem. Like there's 5 people on the road, and then there's one on the other road. If you switch a lever, I think you ought to switch the lever. I don't know what you would say, but you ought to switch the lever. I don't think it's good to therefore kill that person. And that shows a clear distinction between making something permissible, something just allowing it to happen, versus that act. You ought to do that thing. You see that clear
Okay.
distinction in the trolley
So
problem?
yeah, you're saying that there's a difference between God allowing things and then the things actually occurring.
Yeah.
Well, if all things considered something shouldn't occur, well, then we would expect God to not allow it to occur, right? You ought switch the
Why does
lever
that
because
follow?
5 dying
Why does that
shouldn't
follow?
occur, all things considered.
Why should I believe that?
Yeah, because this follows straight from your analogy.
No, it
right?
doesn't.
You're saying you should choose the one person over the 5, so all things considered, the 5 people shouldn't die, and that's
Doesn't
why you
follow.
should choose a 1.
How does that compare to my argument of the distinction?
Yeah, because if like an action, all things considered, shouldn't occur, this means that we'd be considering free will, but it still shouldn't happen, so God shouldn't allow it.
Yeah, I mean, you keep saying all things considered, and
Yeah.
it's not. It's so
like-
ambiguous. It
Let
doesn't-
me detail this to you. So I mean, you like theodicies. You like explaining the bad things that occur. So like let's just take, for instance, skeptical theism. So, like skeptical theism, thank you, Jam, for, sorry, I forgot. Skeptical theism kind of posits the idea that there is good reason to allow for things because, you know, God has access to epistemic knowledge that we don't have access to, right? And maybe if God didn't allow the Holocaust to occur, there would have been a bigger atrocity in the future that would have resulted in the deaths of more people caused by the Holocaust.
What?
We're saying like it should occur, right? I mean, you
Isn't that what good
comport-
means?
Yeah, you could comport
You're
that to
confused
goodness.
about your definition.
TR, I appreciate you so much for the galaxy.
Okay, the gifts thing. You seem confused about your definitions.
Wait, so wait, I'm just saying that all things considered should occur, and this
Okay, real
would be
quick.
like goodness.
So if
Yeah.
all things considered is you keep using it so much and it's ambiguous, try to make the argument without saying all things considered, because it seems like you're bringing some incoherence because you keep changing what you're referring to and making no distinctions.
So I'm just saying it like should occur given the facts. Would you say that we live in the best possible version of reality? Or like, let me ask you
So
this
you're
question.
pivoting. You want to gauge my argument?
So it is me engaging. It is me
Do you want
engaging.
to gauge my argument? Like what do you think of my?
That is me engaging in your
statement.
argument, right? I'll demonstrate how. So would you say that God would allow for unnecessary suffering?
No.
No. So all suffering in which we have is necessary, correct?
Necessary in what sense? What do you mean by that?
Like necessary in the sense that it has to occur either for some greater good or like for some logical impossibility. Like regardless of why it's necessary, it just means that it has to occur, right?
Well, I mean, I think what you mean by that's important. I think it is necessary for a greater good.
All right. So would you say that necessary evils should occur for the greater good? Because it would be bad if they didn't occur because we'd forsake the greater good?
Necessary evil should occur for the greater good. Sure. I mean, we could say that.
Okay. Concession. Thank you. You said
it
all
doesn't-
evil.
that
One second.
doesn't-
I'll
does
no.
not
I'll detail
follow
how.
that-
I'll detail how. You said all
That doesn't
evil. One
follow
second.
that
Let me
thing.
please let me detail this to you.
Okay, go
You
ahead.
said all evil that exists is necessary, and necessary evil should occur. Therefore, all evil in which exists should occur.
With respect to a greater good, and so in this case here,
All things considered. All things
No,
considered
keep
is
using
respecting the
all
greater
things
good.
Dean,
considered,
let's let him respond real quick.
you keep using this all things considered language. It just ambiguates your statement. It doesn't. It's confusing what you're referring to. It's a very odd argument, and it simply doesn't follow that thing is therefore good. With respect to a greater good, it is instrumentally. It is good instrumentally for a greater good, but it doesn't follow that the act itself is good.
Yeah, okay, we'll just go through it this way. You agreed that something is good if it should occur. You said necessary evil should occur. You also said no unnecessary evil exists. So all evil in which should occur, right, is good, right? And all evil in which exists should occur. Like,
Well,
let me
again-
break it down to you this way. So let me break it down. Let me break it down to you this way.
bro.
So all evil is necessary. And it should occur in respect to the
all-
greater good. If
let's slow
something
down.
should occur,
Let's
it
slow down.
means
Let's
it's
slow
good.
down.
So would you
Slow
say that it is good
Slow
for
down, slow
evil
down,
to
slow
occur
down.
for the greater good?
Slow down. Okay, go again. Let's go statement by statement. You're saying what?
So no unnecessary evil exists. This
No.
means that, right? So you said this. You also said all the evil that exists is necessary. This would
Well,
just
I mean,
be
it
a
depends what you
logical
mean.
implication.
Like ontologically, I don't think evil is necessary, or all evil is necessary. Like, what do you
yeah.
mean
Can
by
you tell me
nec-
what you wait? Could you tell me what you mean by that?
Tell you what do I mean by what?
Yeah, when you say like ontologically evil isn't necessary.
Yeah, like it
necessary.
couldn't have been any other way. That's what I mean. Like
Oh,
ontology.
if it could be another way, then God allows unnecessary evil. Wouldn't He be doing something bad by that?
No. God, you're switching your language. I don't think God allows unnecessary evil, but I don't mean that metaphysically. I mean morally, and in that
Okay.
respect, with a
Yeah.
greater
Okay.
good.
So there is no unnecessary evil. Sweet. So all evil in
So,
which exists.
so clarify
is-
what you mean by that. What do you mean by that?
it's like true in all possible worlds.
No, that's not what I mean.
So you're not talking about a metaphysical sense
I
of
just said
necessary.
that.
Oh wait, are you talking about like a contingent sense of necessary, where it's necessary in order to achieve an end goal, like such as a greater good?
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah, that's perfect. Awesome. I apologize for my confusion. We still
That's
got the
okay.
same argument going. So yeah, now that we understand that you're saying all evil is necessary and contingent to the greater good, You're right. You'd say that all things considered, given all the facts, such
Well-
as the fact of the greater good, that evil should occur. Correct?
Okay,
Yes or no?
Again, with this all things considered talk.
I don't. Still, you can't just say that you don't like my language, right? It's just demonstrating how your worldview is flawed. So, like when I say all things considered, I'm just speaking given all the facts, right? And like one of the facts that will be given here.
Dean, let's let him respond real quick.
Okay.
Yeah, no. So I think God allowing it is necessary, but I don't think that act itself is necessary. That agent ought to. That it's necessary for that agent to do it. That's the clear distinction. And I don't think we're gonna get anywhere. So I think we need to.
No. You said 2 times so far that no unnecessary evil exists. Did you track that sentence?
It's important to understand with respect to what and what agent and what.
Yeah,
it
like with
means.
respect to the greater good.
With respect to the greater good.
Yeah, is evil necessary in respect to the greater good?
And by evil, you mean what?
Like all things considered, should the Holocaust have occurred in respect to the greater good?
that
such
didn't
as
answer my
the world
question.
might- And you mean by like what? Like the greatest amount of good?
No, that answers my question. What do you mean by evil?
Oh, like, well, I understand evil to be something that shouldn't occur, and that's the contradiction.
Okay,
But
yeah. I mean,
we'll get there.
Again, I would say that's highly contentious, and I don't know any philosophers that, or very many philosophers that accept that, and I showed some issues with it. But again, it just doesn't show. You disambiguate your language. It's kind of like a rhetorical trick. You're changing what you're referring to, and so I think yes, God ought to allow it with respect to a greater good. It's necessary for God to allow it, but I don't think it's necessary for that person or that act itself that person ought do it, and therefore it's not necessarily good.
Okay, so unnecessary evil exists, right?
Say it again.
Yeah, if you're just saying it's
We
necessary
can
for God
keep
to
going
allow.
forever. The audience can
No,
decide.
We're going to clear this up.
No,
listen, we're going to clear this up
listen.
right now.
No,
we're going to clear
listen.
this up right now. Does
no.
unnecessary
No.
evil exist,
I'm
or does
gonna-
unnecessary evil
No,
not
listen.
exist?
I'm going to repeat my distinctions, and I'm going to keep. And also, we can contend again why I should think that good is synonymous with oughtness. But no, we're simply not going to continue along this line unless you want to go back to how we.
No,
would
I
define
want
it.
to. Dude, listen, you're not allowing me to make my argument. I'm asking an
You've
abundantly.
made
one
your
second.
argument
Can I
for an
speak?
hour, and it's
Can I
fundamentally
speak?
flawed.
Am I allowed
ahead.
to speak?
Yeah, go ahead.
Awesome. So, like, the one question I've been asking this entire time that you've been unable to respond to is, does unnecessary evil exist? First, you responded it doesn't. Then you responded it did. Then you responded it doesn't. And now you're actually refusing to even answer the question, and you're just saying it's necessary that God allows for the evil.
Okay,
but
yeah.
being really agnostic on if the evil in itself is necessary or not.
Yeah,
So
so
I just
we-
want to
we-
clear this up with one very simple question.
No.
Does unnecessary evil exist or not
Okay, so
exist contingent to the greater good?
The audience can decide whether you're switching to topic, whether I sufficiently answered it, whether I pulled out these important distinctions, whether your definition of good and evil makes sense. But I think it's important. Why don't you engage my argument? Why didn't you present the step I put forward? So are you saying that, would you concede that the resurrection happened?
Pivot. I just want to know if unnecessary evil exists, sir.
Already done this, Dean. Do you want to talk about this for
No, you haven't.
5
I-
hours?
I just want to know. I just want to know if unnecessary evil exists. That's all I got to know. But I feel like the reason that you will
respect
not
to
respond
what?
and you will not tell me if unnecessary, in respect to the greater good, I'm going to go ahead and clear this up for you, Brooks, for you, Parker, and for everyone watching. The question I'm asking Brooks right now is if unnecessary evil exists in respect to the greater good. Given all the facts, all things considered, that is what I'm asking you, and I
your
would now
language-
like you to respond to the
Your
question.
language is ambiguous. So, okay, you want to go down
What
and
language is what specific language, like what specific vocabulary did I use that was ambiguous?
so-
Maybe I could define it so it's not ambiguous.
with reference to what you're saying. So let's go down it again. Let's break it down slowly. And necessary, again, I pointed out necessary is ambiguous. Do you mean in an ontological sense? Do you mean in a moral sense with respect to a greater good?
Okay,
So
cool.
let's go down.
I'll clear it up. Let's clear it up. Let's
Okay.
clear up the ambiguous language. When I
if
say
you- real quick,
necessary,
real
all I
quick,
mean is it
I
has
wanna
to
finish
occur
real
in
quick.
order to
Wait,
achieve
Dean.
an
Let's
end.
let Brooks finish real quick, and then I'll let
Real
you
quick.
say that real quick.
We can go down this line one more time if you want. I think this is a very, again, a highly contentious argument, a logical problem of evil, like no philosopher accepts it. And we can keep going down it. And we go down it one more time, okay? And if there's no progress, I think it's important we switch to something else, maybe another issue you have, so we can make progress in this discussion. How does that sound?
Yeah. So the thing is here is I feel like we're not making progress because you're unable to actually respond to the questions.
No,
that I'm
because
asking you.
your argument's garbage. That's what I think.
Okay. Well, you can't just say no. Do you mind if I speak without interruption, very similar to how I'm letting you speak?
Yeah, but I'm going to interrupt you if it goes a little long because I want to clarify your statements.
How long would you like him to keep it within? I'll time it.
Me?
Yeah,
One
I'll
sentence.
time it.
Yeah. So
Wait. I think he gave you a little bit more than one sentence to.
No, I
respond
understand,
there.
but I think in order to make progress and understand what he's actually arguing and what he's referring to, we can take it sentence by sentence. I'm not to say that he can't speak, but
Brooks, with all due respect, I'm letting you speak, man. I feel like the reason that you will not allow me to speak is because you realize you're on the losing side of a debate right now. This is also why you tried to pivot to resurrection. I will be
No, I mean,
calm.
I think I gave a good reason why I wanted to go to the resurrection is that we've spent an hour on this, and I haven't seen much progress. Just at your arguments just seems to be a nonsense.
let me be calm, and let me present to you the question. So
Okay.
here's what I got for you. So the question that I'm asking you is if unnecessary evil exists. But let me clarify my terms. So when I say unnecessary, I'm simply asking you if there's any evil that exists that God doesn't have good reason to allow, right? And a good reason for God to allow evil, right, is something such as the greater good, or like an inexperienced theist might say free will, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah,
And what is your response to this question?
I would say clarifying with respect to a greater good, God does not allow an instance of evil unless there is a greater good. I think he has a reason for every evil he allows. Does that answer the question?
Yes. So, all things considered, evil should occur because if it didn't occur, the world would be worse off as the greater good was forsaken or not achieved.
So how does that follow at all? I just it's simply a non sequitur, and I think anyone that can just understand what he's saying, that is a non sequitur. It does not follow that act itself is good or you ought to do it. It simply does not follow. God ought to allow it. Yes, that is true.
Okay.
But it simply does not logically follow. It is a non sequitur for you to say that the act itself is good or you ought to do it. That agent does not follow that the agent ought to do it. It's simply a non sequitur.
So, the reason I say you're wrong is because I asked you if the evil was necessary, not if God allowing the evil is necessary. So, you're equivocating.
Evil
in
is necessary.
May I finish the very same way I let you finish? You're equivocating with your terms when you're responding to my argument. Remember, guys, I didn't say is allowing evil necessary. I said is the evil in of itself necessary. So we are talking about the evil in of itself. We are not talking about the allowance. But now we will use an example to show how this is not a non sequitur. Should the Holocaust have occurred?
Okay, I don't think an example of the Holocaust will clear up anything. I would say I think this clears it up. Like if you were to say that this agent should not do this thing, they should do something else. But they do that thing. I think it's wrong that they did that thing. But the next best thing is that God should allow that.
Should the Holocaust have been prevented?
With respect to what? Like
The greater good, the same thing we've been talking about this whole time, all
So,
things considered.
I think God ought to have allowed the Holocaust, but I don't think the Nazi soldiers should. Yeah, but I don't think the Nazi soldiers, should have committed the Holocaust.
Wait, but if that evil was not necessary, because remember you said all evils that are necessary should occur, right? Wait, let me say it this way. Earlier you said all necessary evils should occur, but now you're saying the evils that the Nazis committed shouldn't have occurred. Does this mean that the evils that the Nazis committed were unnecessary?
It was necessary for the greater good with respect to God allowing it, so God should allow it.
So then earlier you said...
Wait, Gene, let's let him finish.
That does not follow because there is a greater good that agent himself ought have done it.
Wait. Let's go back to what we agreed on earlier. Earlier, we agreed necessary evils should occur. The evils committed by the Nazis were necessary. Therefore, the evils committed by the Nazis should occur.
That doesn't follow.
Which premise?
That does not logically follow.
Wait, I believe I gave you a valid argument, right?
No,
Listen.
that does not logically follow. I can't even attack a premise. It just doesn't follow. Your conclusion does
That
not
absolutely follows. So, okay, let's imagine this. So we
How
have an
about we
action.
attack my argument, or do you want to
Wait,
stay on this argument?
was the evil that the Nazis committed necessary?
Do you want me to answer this 20 times?
I'll show you how. You're saying that it strictly does not follow. I'm saying you're wrong. The actions of the Nazis that were evil, were they necessary?
It's necessary for a greater good.
Awesome. So the actions of the Nazis were necessary. All right. If an action is necessarily evil, should it occur in respect to the greater good?
That doesn't follow. It
I'm
doesn't-
asking you a question. It's not a premise. It's a question.
No,
if an
that doesn't
action is
follow.
necessarily evil, should it occur for the
it
greater
doesn't
good?
follow, no.
So no, something can be necessarily evil while still not necessarily occurring?
No, necessarily ought to have occurred. All
So
things
things-
considered,
so things can-
ultimately.
So something can be necessarily evil, but it shouldn't have occurred.
Necessarily evil? What do you mean by that?
So something-
with a greater good?
Dude, okay, listen. So if something is a necessary evil, all this means is that it should occur for the greater good. Would you agree or disagree?
Say it again.
If something is a necessary evil, all this means is that it should occur for the greater good. Agree or disagree?
It should occur for the greater good.
Okay, great. So necessary evil should occur for the greater good.
With
right?
respect to God allowing it, I don't think that agent should have done it or ought to have done it.
Wait,
That's the distinction. That's the distinction I'm drawing.
okay, so you don't think so? Wait, does God allow
How
things?
many
1
things
second.
will I-
Does God allow things
I'm
that
gonna-
shouldn't
no,
occur?
I'm not going to answer 20
Wait, does
more
God allow
questions.
bad things?
This topic is completely exhausted. Like, do you have another argument? Are you scared to go another argument? Is
So
that
the,
what-
so the specific reason I don't think it's exhausted is because I believe that you're being disingenuous for the
I'm
following
not being
reasons.
disingenuous.
You are, no, I'll detail exactly how. First of all, you are telling me that there is a difference between God allowing an action and the fact that God should have allowed it, and the action, all things considered, shouldn't have occurred. If it all things
That's not what
considered
I'm
shouldn't
saying.
have occurred,
I did
well
not
then
say
God
that.
wouldn't have good reasons to allow it, so He wouldn't allow it.
That is not what I'm saying.
Let me speak here. What I'm specifically saying here is it's paradoxical for you to say that God had good reasons to allow something bad to happen, because that means that the bad thing that happened, all things considered, should have occurred because of the good reasons that God had for it. So when you recognize this distinction between the things without like really giving me any reason or responding to and or purporting to my argumentation, it just seems like you're being disingenuous. It seems like you're running away from the argument. But here it is, all things, right? Here it is.
No, we're not
You
going-
said-
I'm
I'm
not
just going to
gonna
give
allow
you.
this
I'm
to
just going to
happen.
give you a very quick revision of my
no,
argument.
no.
Wait,
You said-
Dean, let's let him respond
Listen.
real quick, and then you can.
I'm not going to go through this argument again unless you don't have it. If you tell me you have no other argument, then we can spend the rest. 15
I feel like you're
minutes on
scared.
this.
You're scared. You're scared.
Okay, yeah.
Absolutely.
The audience can think whatever they want, or they can think that I actually want to have progress, and I've answered this question 20 times. I think
The specific reason why I don't think that you want to have progress is because you will not
so I
respond to
think-
my answers.
Let me finish real quick. Yeah, so I've answered your question multiple times, and I think it's important to make progress. And maybe you have another argument or issue with the Christian God existing, and I think that's sufficient. So we can move on. You have another argument, or you want to address mine?
Yeah, I have an argument. You said specific evil actions, all things considered, shouldn't occur. Should they have been prevented?
Are you making the same argument?
And with different wording. Maybe you'll get it this time.
I'm not going to buy Dean.
Why?
I just explained why. Do you want
I don't feel like you're actually giving any good reason here. You're just terrified, bro. Like I want to
Yeah,
press you
I'm
on
so-
this. Wait, these things that are all things considered should have occurred. Should they have been prevented?
Problem of evil that no philosopher ever accepts. It's like it's so novel. It's so.
Wait,
good.
I have a question.
No,
Why
it's
does God prevent
confusing and
unnecessary?
ambiguous.
Why does God not allow unnecessary evils?
Dean. I'm
No,
putting
I
my
actually want a
feet-
question. I
No,
want to
no,
give you
Dean,
the
I'm
argument,
putting my
please.
feet.
Why does God not allow unnecessary evils?
I told you. Listen, I told you. Remember this? I said, let's go through it one more time, and once we do that, we move on for
No response.
progress.
Did they just both get hate speeched? They both just got hate speeched, bro. What the fuck? I'm so confused. All right. Why did the comments get turned off? Who turned off the comments? Can you turn the comments back on, chat? Can we turn the comments back on? Thank you, thank you. Wait, no, they just must have turned off on my side. Sorry. The comments turned off on my side. My bad. So do give it a second, everyone. Let me see if we can get their accounts back. Let me add let me see if Brooks. I'll try to message Brooks. To
Yeah,
see.
we'll hold off until he gets back.
Is this the same account?
No, it's a third. I have like 5 accounts.
Oh yeah, I remember. Okay, let's get him back up here, and then we can finish this. I do want to move on to so that he can refer to resurrection. I do want to do that.
I don't feel like he's adequately addressed my argument.
Yeah, I want him to be able to do that, respond to that, and then I do want him to be able to move on so that we can
Yes.
fully address both sides. And then
Yeah,
I'll let
like-
him do that for a really long time.
Yeah, like I'm totally fine with him adequately addressing my argument. In fact, that's what I want. I just feel like he's muddying the waters and not offering good responses. Because listen, I'll leave it for when he gets back up here, right? Because I don't want to be unfair in that sense. But basically what I'm positing here is the reason that Brooks would say unnecessary evil doesn't happen, the reason Brooks would say unnecessary evil is not allowed by God is because it, all things considered, shouldn't occur. Right, but I'll just simply ask him a question to clear this all
message
up
him.
when he gets back.
Did you get in? I'm gonna ask him if he got an appeal. Yeah, an appeal button. Or do you have another account? Okay. In the meantime, everyone, do tap that screen. Do share the live, y'all. As it does help send it out to more people. We're gonna get Dean back up here. I mean, not Dean, fucking Brooks back up here. It seems like I'm not sure. I don't think he has another account, so I do want to make sure that
I could give
he
him
gets
one
his
of
account
mine.
back. I'll tell him we can give you one of Dean's.
Actually, I don't
if
think I have
you-
any more. I'm on my third. I'm both my two main accounts are banned right now. But I really want to.
I would think
up
he has
with him.
another account to be able to join up on.
But I do really want to clear this up with him.
Yeah, no, I would love to as well. I'd love to as well. Yeah, TikTok is super annoying with the bans. Everyone, I do apologize. Follow here if you haven't already in case it does get banned. TikTok does this shit all the time. Super, super unfortunate. Hopefully he gets his account back here in a second. I did message him and I haven't got a response yet from him. Have you messaged him?
I'll reach out.
Because we do have one we can give with him. Matt has one. I'll tell him I have one if not.
Why are we getting banned this crazy? We have these conversations all the time.
I know. It's probably because of just the amount of people in here. Yeah, it's really unfortunate. Like he wasn't doing anything that should get him banned, so like he didn't say anything in specific. That maybe I guess maybe it was like he used a different tone of voice, but like people do that all the time. And for the people in the chat that think he left because Dean's being a bully, no, that's not true at all. He literally got banned. Bro, what are you talking about? But yeah, do give it a second, y'all. I still don't have a response from him, so maybe we won't get a response. But he said he appealed. I just got a response there. Okay, for sure. Okay, for
I think I have the
sure.
question that we could use to clear this up.
Give it a few min if you don't get it back. Want to join on another account? I can give you. All right. We're gonna give him another account if anything. Unfriendly TikTok language. I guess, yeah, true. I mean, we use that language all the time. Also, I just want to say, Mary, thank you for the $15. I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Mary. I appreciate it. And then LJ, thank you so much as well. I appreciate y'all. But yeah, do tap that screen, everyone. Let's try to get to 500,000 likes. We got banned earlier, but we did get the account back. So it's banned me, it's banned Dean, and banned Brooks. Like, I don't know why they just won't let us fully debate. Like, it's just got to be extra. He said waiting on appeal. How long does it usually take? A few minutes, sometimes, if not a few hours. I can give you another account if you need. I'll send info right now. Him joining on Matt's account. I'm sending him the info to the account right now, everyone. To give it a second.
I know how to address our disagreements now. Thought them over in the head. I know why we're talking past each other.
That's another account you can use. All right, I just sent him another account he can use. He's going to come back up here in a second. And then we will be able to continue this. So to give it a minute for him to join up. In the meantime, tap that screen, share the live. You can send it to a few friends. He did get banned. That's what happened, everyone. But he will be back here in a second. Oh, I have never gone. Yeah, like yeah, he might not do it. He doesn't want to deal with possible potential shadow bans by assigning into a different account.
I guess we'll wait. Anyways, I figured out how to address our miscommunication.
Yeah, he said let's wait 5 minutes. All right, we're gonna wait 5 minutes. Everyone, do give it a second while he waits for a possible appeal. We are gonna be posting this to YouTube later, so do make sure to wait for that. I don't know if it'll be today, but the next day. He said, "How often does it happen?" It happens a lot.
Oh, yeah, I guess we'll wait for him to get back up here. But I know how to address the miscommunication we're having now. So that'll be good. We got all the Christians in the chat.
All right. Give it a second, everyone. People still spamming W Brooks and L Dean. Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah, but everyone, this is gonna be the debates for today. I don't know if I'll continue debates after this. I might. I don't know. We'll see. But as always, everyone, if you do want to support me or Dean, Venmo, Cash App in the bio, along with you can send money through the gifts. Also, when Brooks comes back, it is in his link tree in his bio if you do want to support him through his Patreon. So for all the Christians in here that do want to support him, you can check that.
I'm gonna go get that appeal started on the second account. I'll be right back.
Yeah, for sure. All right, everyone, while we wait, we'll sit right here. When do you graduate? I am graduated now. I am fully done with school now. Thankfully. I'm not walking, but like I am. I'm not walking because I don't want to, because it sounds boring. But I obviously have a high GPA. Appreciate the sunglasses. Thank you so much. So, W Parker for being a fair mod. Yeah, I'm trying to. If anything, I'm trying to be biased against Dean, just to make sure that we're running fine here. Thank you for the hand art. Thank you so much. I've really only told Dean to stop talking.
Yeah, you are being a bit biased against me. But I'll
Yeah,
let it
you were
slide.
starting to get annoyed at me for a second. I was like,
It's all right. I'd rather you be biased against me than biased against Brooke.
yeah, that's a W. But yeah, do go to second, y'all. I appreciate it. I wasn't biased. Oh, okay, W. Okay. I kind of agree. Yo, Addison, thank you for the $2. Thank you so much. Andrew, I appreciate the hand hearts as well. Thank you. All right, he'll be back up here in a second. If he does get the ban appealed. But yeah, do give it a second. Because I honestly don't know what to do in the meantime here. Because I don't want to have conversation about the debates. Because I don't want to
Share your bias.
Yeah, I don't want to say anything. I don't want to be in between the debate chat. Appreciate the handout. Thank you so much. Me and Brooks are going to have a one-on-one informal debate kind of later on. His appeal got rejected?
I gotta go on
no
another
way.
account.
That's annoying. You want to try joining? I'm going to ask him if he has a second device. All right, well, give it a second, everyone. I don't know what we're going to do here. Move to Insta. Switch to YouTube. I mean, yeah, we could do that. Want to finish on YouTube?
We definitely could. Worst case scenario.
And I don't either phone or iPad.
I just thought I'd explain our miscommunication to everyone in the meantime. So Brooks was positing that God should allow us. Tracy, thank you for the $20.
He said that he
on
would
Venmo.
do YouTube. He said he'd do YouTube.
Thank you so much, Tracy.
So we could go do YouTube, everyone. Do we have him on Discord?
No. I could add him.
Yeah, on Discord.
Tell him that I'm gonna add him.
Do that. Okay. All right. Everyone wanting to stay by, we're gonna do YouTube. Everyone, my YouTube is Parker Get a Job. Skits and Bits, thank you for the $6.66. Thank you so much. The YouTube is Parker Get a Job. Everyone, we're gonna be going to that. Everyone, Parker Get a Job, and we're gonna be finishing the debate there. So if you do want to stick around and come through, make sure to join the YouTube Parker Get a Job. We're gonna do that. We can go live on YouTube. Finish debate there. Talk on Discord. Is that cool?
We could also do it on Instagram. That might be easier for people. Not gonna lie.
Or Insta?
Like what? Like here, 1 in chat for YouTube, 2 in chat for Insta. Like let's see what's easier to go to.
People on TikTok. He said Insta might be better. I'm down with Insta if you want.
Let's see what the people prefer. Right now it's YouTube.
All right, for sure.
Wait. Wait, I forgot what I said. Did I say 1 was Insta?
I didn't listen.
Chat. Is 1 Insta or YouTube? I forgot what I said, bro.
Is Insta easy to record? Not sure. See, it's also like people are leaving, so that's going to be unfortunate, but
YouTube. All right, yep, let's go to YouTube.
most people saying YouTube. Okay, well, I think we can get everyone to go over to YouTube, y'all. I think we can do that. And then I'll try to like record the Discord or something. Here, Dean, add me on Discord or join on Discord real quick so I can set that up.
Betty.
All right, everyone. Heather, thank you for the handout. Thank you so much. He said, "Cool." All right, what's your Discord? All right, we're gonna get his Discord and we're gonna do the debate real quick. Again, everyone, go to YouTube. YouTube is Parker Get a Job. Everyone, YouTube is Parker Get a Job.
Tell him I sent him a friend request on Discord.
Okay. Dean sent you one already. I am sending now. All right, I'm sending him a thing now, and then we're gonna be going to YouTube. Again, the YouTube is Parker Get a Job. Everyone, the YouTube is Parker Get a Job. Go check it out right now, and we will be able to finish the debate here fully. We will be able to finish the debate here. Let me add him real quick, y'all. Again, everyone go to Parker Get a Job. I'm adding him by username right now. Paste. All right. I added him. All right, should I go live on YouTube?
Yep.
Okay. All right, we're going to go live on YouTube here. We're going to go live on YouTube, y'all. Let me this. Y'all are going to be able to hear me through my iPad. Can y'all hear me? Can you hear me, Dean?
Yep.
All right, everyone, join up on the YouTube. I'm about to go live on there right now. And we'll be able to finish this conversation real quick. Dean, can you add me to a Discord call?
I did.
All right, perfect. Let me join that up right now. I'll make sure to-
I don't have my
got you.
mic on my
I got
laptop.
you, Brooks. I can record it. I'm gonna screen capture the Discord.
I don't have my mic on my
Anything on
laptop or
Discord?
anything.
Wait, sorry, what'd you just say? Oh, you don't have a camera? Ooh, shit. We won't be able to do that then.
He could go on his phone.
You go on your phone. Yeah, join Discord on your phone real quick. All right, he's gonna join Discord on his phone real quick. Give it a second, y'all. And we are going to do this. I am deleting everything else real quick. Give me 1 second, and we're gonna finish this. I'm about to start it here in a second, but I'm just trying to make sure that I can see everything on this.
I see a lot of people in the chat saying Insta, a lot of people saying YouTube.
Okay, well, I'm going live right now on YouTube
Okay.
because Instagram would be hard.
That'd be
I
better.
mean, a lot of people are saying Insta. We can do that if you want.
Listen. I could go live on Insta right now.
I could do that too. Brooks, do you prefer Insta or YouTube? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Can you turn on your webcam right now? I think I'll be able to see it right now if you do. All right, let's see. Let's see.
I'm gonna let y'all be able to hear Brooks.
Oh no, okay. I can. We can see it if we do this. This works. If y'all want to do this on YouTube, and it'll probably be the best mic quality. Instagram probably won't be. And I could stay live on TikTok too and tell people to go to the YouTube.
You could. Let's do it. Let's get it up and running.
Okay, everyone go to the YouTube. I'm gonna go live right now. I'm going live right now on YouTube.
At Parker get a job. At Parker get a job.
Parker, get a job. I'm currently making sure my properties are completely fine. Wait, whoa! I don't even have my. Oh, I have to exit out of this. That makes sense. All right. Give it 1 second, everyone. We're gonna be going there in a second. Do tap the screen. We're gonna be going on YouTube, y'all. Again, Parker, get a job. I'm going live right now on YouTube. Dean, do you hear yourself in the Discord? I don't hear you. Actually, I do.
Yeah, I'm just not really
I got
talking
you.
into the laptop right now.
Yeah, no, you're good. You're good.
Waiting for you
All
to
right.
go live on YouTube, then I'll hop down. Just
All
staying
right,
up here. to
we're
help
going
people.
live on YouTube right now, everyone. Live on YouTube. Brooks versus.
Flip my camera horizontal.
No, you're fine. You can if you want. It doesn't matter.
Maybe you should just for consistency.
Yeah, it's up to you.
Yeah.
All right, we're going live. All right, everyone, live on YouTube. Live on YouTube. We are live right now. Come check it out. We are finishing the debate here live on YouTube. Dean, if you want to turn your webcam down.
Yeah. Everyone go to at Parker get a job on YouTube. See y'all there.
All right, everyone. See y'all. You see y'all there. Parker, get a job on YouTube. Parker, get a job on YouTube. We're gonna finish it
Wait,
here. Do y'all
actually,
see it in the comments?
Are you gonna remain live on TikTok?
I can if you want.
It's probably good to draw people in.
Yeah, if you want to do that. Holy shit! The comments in the YouTube are insane. The amount of comments.
Here, I'll like do this. I'll remain live on the phone as well.
Here, I just gotta turn off my volume. All right. Oh yeah, I can still hear you perfectly fine. All right. Well, everyone, do join up real quick. Do join up real quick, and we can finish the debate here real quick. Dean, are you gonna turn on the webcam on your Discord?
Yep.
I already have it on.
Sweet. Wait, I don't see it. Oh, it's like
Post link.
On the
Everyone,
YouTube.
look at my link tree. You can look at my link tree. Literally, just go to my link tree. Wait, actually, I don't see it. Oh no, I do. You have to click live. Everyone, you have to click live. There's 2.1k people in here. You should see it. Click refresh the YouTube, or just click live.
all right. There we go. Let me try to find a way. There we go. All right, let me try to find a way. There we go.
Yeah, hopefully we
Let
can
me
start up
try to
soon
find a
because
way.
Yeah,
time's doing everything.
go.
Yeah, hopefully we can
Yo,
start
man, I
up
was
soon
thinking about
because
it. I think
Yeah,
I have
doing everything.
ways
Yeah,
to
hopefully
solve
we
it.
can
Yo, man, I was
start
thinking.
Communication. I agree that that conversation was not productive, but I think that we can have productive dialogue on the issue now. I dreamed
Yeah.
up some ways because I
don't-
go ahead.
I don't know. Are we debating or we're gonna wait a second?
Yeah, Parker, are we debating or what do you want to do here?
Yeah, go for it. Go for it. You can start it. Well, I'll step in whenever needed. I'm just gonna get people to come over to the YouTube, and then I'll probably end the live on TikTok.
Okay. So I just wanted to clear this up because I actually think we can. I was thinking about it. So you were making the claim that like maybe there is some actions of humans that are evil and all things considered shouldn't occur even respect to
Yeah,
the
so
creator.
I'm gonna cut you off. And the reason I'm doing that is, I think it'd be more interesting if you engage my argument rather than rehashing this one. And the reason I say that is because you largely haven't touched my argument, at least with an argument that we can agree on, and I think it's fair not to spend 2/3 of the time on this argument going in circles.
Yeah, man, I agree with you. Like I want to be able to respond to your argument and give you that respect. but I also just want to be able to have you respond to mine. And I think that we
Yeah.
did have a lot. One second. I think that we did have a lot of miscommunication on, the TikTok live. But I think that maybe now we could clear things up and move on with a productive conversation. And I
Yeah.
do, once again, I am disagreeing with your argument in the sense that I reject premise 9 because of the plausibility
So
associated with my problem of evil.
so you're rejecting premise 9. That premise 9 entails that the resurrection happens. So you're conceding that.
Wait, if I reject the premise of your argument, then I would not be conceding the conclusion.
Well, do you want me to read out the premises again? So you're rejecting premise.
Not really, because I want to continue to talk about the
No,
problem
no.
of
So
evil.
no. So you rejected premise 9. Premise 8 is therefore Jesus was resurrected.
Wait, sorry, repeat that. I just saw the
Yeah.
practice live one.
Premise 9 is if Jesus was resurrected, then God, he revealed, very probably exists. You're conceding that. Premise 8 is therefore Jesus was resurrected. Are you conceding that?
Oh yeah. So we're granting resurrection. I still just don't think that the Christian God exists for my reasons with the problem of evil.
So you're conceding that the resurrection happened.
Oh, we're just granting it for the argument.
No,
Like,
I
I mean,
mean, like, do you think it actually happened?
Do I? Like, no, but we don't even need to go over that
So,
because
so you can engage my argument. I presented an argument for why you should think.
Yeah.
that.
So I'll explain to you like how this works. So when we're talking about like the existence of the Christian God, like I can grant resurrection, but like still reject the conclusion that the Christian God exists because I'd find it to be improbable or even impossible.
Sure, yeah.
given that problem of evil. So
Yeah, I agree with
like,
that. I'm just trying to get down to whether you agree with if you're conceding that Jesus rose.
yeah, like I already said. So will grant that for the like all intensive purposes, so we can
But-
continue to talk about my issues with the problem.
You said it didn't happen.
Well, yeah. So, like, when we're having philosophical discussion, like, I can grant it, even though I don't think it actually happened. So we can ignore all of the irrelevant conversations and get to the meat on the bone, which would be the existence of the Christian God. Like, think about it
Okay.
this way. Imagine that we're debating on, like, the shape of the earth. I think it's round.
Yeah, I understand
you
the
think
premise.
it's
So,
flat.
so I just want to make it clear that I just want so we don't have to go over it again. To be clear, you are saying you are conceding that Jesus rose.
Wait, 1 second. The concession isn't me granting. I'm granting premises that don't matter to the topic.
Okay, how do you
So
word
we
it?
can just
So you're
talk about
granting
it.
that Jesus rose.
Yeah, so just so we could talk about
Okay.
the topic.
Okay,
which
go
is
ahead,
the
yeah.
the Christian God. All right,
Okay.
so yeah. So like I said before we hopped onto YouTube, we had a little bit of a disagreement on like what is good and what is bad and if things should or shouldn't occur. And I wanted to go ahead and like rehash that because we were
Yeah, so-
definitely talking past one another. So real quick, I feel like our big disagreement was in the sense that I'm trying to make an implication that there's like evil actions that under your worldview, all things considered, or at least in respect to the greater good, should have occurred. But like you're actually stating that that's not the case. The evil actions in of themselves, it's not necessary that they should have occurred, but rather what should have occurred was God allowing them to make those choices, right?
Yeah, so I mean, I'll just say I'm going to play my feet. You had your chance to describe it, and I think I already answered this. The only way I'll be willing to gauge this is if you want to go back to the definition of evil, because I think that was very contentious.
The definition of evil. So, I mean, I define a bad thing as something that shouldn't occur, and that will like provide us an issue. Provide you an issue in the sense that I do think I will be successful in getting you to admit that evil things
So-
should occur.
Why should I accept that definition?
Like evil things that like the definition of something being bad if it shouldn't occur. I think that's how we would describe it in normative ethics. I think that's the first discussion that
That's
we
not an
had
argument.
when we joined the live.
You know what
Wait,
an
but you
argument is?
granted, Brooks, you granted
What's
this
an
when we
argument?
first
You know what an
started.
argument is?
Brooks, this was the first thing you granted to me.
Yeah, and I said if we want to move forward with this discussion, then we can go to that because I think that's.
You're not going to grant that to me.
I said if you want to move forward with this goofy argument, we can talk about what was highly contentious
Okay, sure.
because we're not making any progress with that granting.
Sure, but just like to rehash on this, earlier in the live, I asked you what it means for something to be obligatory. I asked
Yeah.
you what it means. Wait, let me finish. I asked you what it means for something to be obligatory. I asked you what it means for something to be merely permissible. And I asked you what it means for something to be impermissible, right? If something is obligatory, it means it should occur. If something is merely permissible, it
Yeah.
means it can occur. And if something is impermissible, it means that it shouldn't occur. And you agreed to this,
Yeah.
right? So
I
all
do
that I'm
agree.
doing here is, so you disagree now?
No, I still agree. But that has nothing to do with your definition that good is what ought to be done, for example.
Okay. So if something is like, let's think about it this way. Maybe we could just talk in terms of permissibility then. So, like all things considered, would you say that the actions of the Holocaust were permissible or impermissible?
Well, when you say permissible, are you referring to like moral
Yeah.
language?
Yes, we'd be referring to what we just went over. If something's merely permissible, it means it can happen.
So why
If something's obligatory, it means it should happen. And if something's impermissible, it means it shouldn't happen.
should I accept that definition?
You've accepted it twice already in our conversation.
I accepted that permissible is what should be done.
No, you accepted that if something is obligatory, this means it should be done. You accepted that if something is merely permissible, this means it can be done. And you accept that if something is impermissible, it means it shouldn't be done. You've accepted this
so
3 times in our
it seems like
conversation. We can roll the clips.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like you're just and like I said, I did say some things, but that was until we made no progress, and so we're rehashing the beginning. Okay.
Wait, you agreed to this 5 seconds ago. I'll ask you again.
No,
If something is obligatory, does it mean that it should occur?
Obligatory means it should occur, yeah. Yes.
So you agree to that. Awesome. Next. The sense that you are projecting an argument that you think I'll make, and you want to refute that. You don't want me to allow to make this argument that you think I'll make by muddying the waters and keeping it in the terms. We have been trying to get past the boilerplate here on what words mean for an hour and a half, and it's getting annoying. So please, let's clear this up. If something is obligatory, doesn't mean it. Okay, let's clear it up.
Wait, let's let Brooks interject.
That was a cool psychoanalysis, so I appreciate your psychoanalysis on my. Let's say this. Let's say, okay. Yeah, I don't know what I'm talking about. Maybe just like click in my head. Maybe the audience can decide. Let's move on to another argument, or you not have one.
Brooks, I don't even know what you think about my current one. I don't know if you're accepting or rejecting these terms. Please tell me. Do you accept or reject the idea that if something is obligatory, it means it should occur? Brooks, please, do you accept or reject that?
Yeah, repeating the question and just ignoring what I just said won't change the debate.
He can't tell me if he accepts or rejects it.
Yeah, chat, he got me. Just watch the debate. They can decide. You can think whatever you think.
What do you mean? You I'm asking you right now. It's not they could decide. We could decide.
And I gave the reasons why I am not answering your question. Okay.
No, you didn't. Please rehash them. I'll allow you to speak. I'll go on mute and allow you to tell me why you will not respond to my question.
Because we tried for an hour and a half, so maybe it just doesn't click in my head. But the point is, we should move on to the argument. I think maybe you got me. Who knows? I think you're just pushing a highly contentious argument, and it's not making any progress. That's the reason.
I think it's not making any progress because you don't want to allow it to make any progress.
Yeah, it's a cool psychological statement. Nice.
Okay. And I'm willing to say that you can prove me wrong by just simply telling me what permissibility and impermissibility is.
You can keep taunting me. I mean, there's 15 minutes left. You can keep taunting me, or we can try to make another argument. Or you can try to make another argument. Or you can engage with mine this beyond.
Yeah, sir. I've tried to make this argument 3 different ways. You rejected a normative notion of good.
Is it the only argument you have?
Please allow me to speak.
Okay.
You've rejected my normative notions of good with literally no basis. You just said that something wasn't strictly entailed with a giving no justification 4 times in a row. So I move on to talking about degrees of permissibility because the same argument, right, this quasi-logical problem of evil that I'm attempting to give you can also be run when with the ideas of permissibilities. So in order for me to run my argument, in order for us to get this off the ground and running, in order for me to actually give you the premises, I just need to know if we have conceptual agreement on what it is or what it means for something to be permissible or impermissible, regardless of what you think makes it permissible or impermissible, and regardless of what is permissible or impermissible.
Okay, yeah, I mean, we could just rehash it again. I gave one reason, for example, the Sophie's Choice example, and that was let's say you have 2 logically exhaustive options, and they're both evil. You ought to do one, especially if there's a lesser evil, but it doesn't follow that evil is therefore good. But again, I'm just planting my feet. And are you scared to move on another argument? Like, is
Wait, I have a question.
one-
You have two of lesser evils. Was this like the trolley example with the 5 people in comparison to 1?
No, it was just like you can say anything, like either murder 10 people or murder 20, for example. I don't.
I have a
What if
question. I have
Huh?
a question. In what sense shouldn't you, all things considered, in what sense shouldn't you murder the 10 people if you have good reason to murder the 10 people,
Yeah.
as it would be saving more lives than if you were not to? I could give you an example of this, okay?
Wait, real
Right?
quick, let me respond
Okay.
real quick. Do you think the murdering 10 people in that case is good?
Yeah, it would be good, all things considered, because the relevant alternative would be the deaths of 20 people. And I
Okay.
say it's good because you
Yeah,
should
that
do
seems
that, right?
absurd.
No, it's not absurd. I'll demonstrate to you how.
Yeah, I think that's absurd. Like, too.
According to whom? You should do that because it will save more lives than if you didn't do
But then
it.
you're just begging the question. Then.
How is that begging the question? That's how we define our normative terms. I'll give you an example of vaccine. When you put a vaccine in your arm, it causes you a little bit of pain. Would you say that you should experience that little bit of pain, all things considered, because of the great benefits of the vaccine?
The issue is like you're repeating your argument, but it relies.
It's not an argument. I asked you a question. I want to see what you think. Please respond. Is that something you should do? Should you feel that little bit of pain for the great benefit of the vaccine?
But this relies on the presupposition that goodness is what ought to be done.
Brooks, are you able to answer one question?
Not if it's complex and leading and not good faith.
Oh my God. So now you're saying my questions are complex, leading, and not good faith. All I'm asking you here, right, is should you experience the pain of the needle entering into your arm for the greater good of the vaccine?
Yeah, that doesn't respond to the definition. Like, this doesn't prove the definition.
It absolutely does. It responds to the Sophie objection of preferring a quote-unquote lesser evil in comparison to a greater one.
Okay. Do you have another argument?
Brooks, can you answer a question? I mean, this is getting ridiculous. You won't even answer one singular question.
I guarantee you I would have answered your question if it happened in the first hour and a half.
Okay. Wow. You can't answer a single question.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to go and explain to you where this argument goes.
So I answered it 20 times.
I'm going to go. No, you haven't. No, you haven't. I'm going to go and explain to you where this argument goes. So when we say things such as, like, you won't even explain, you won't even let me explain where the argument's going to go now?
Yeah, this is not a monologue. You don't just let me read my opening statement.
No, you have two options. You could either answer my question, or I just simply won't care that you're not answering my question and explain to you the argument.
Wait, hold up, everyone. I think we can. Hold up.
Premise 2.
I mean, I want to be able to like have people address things, and I don't think that we're getting to a point where it's going to be addressed on either side of this point.
No, because he won't. So, no. I addressed his argument. I granted resurrection on the one second. I granted the resurrection on the basis that I rejected premise 9 for the reason that I find the existence of the Christian God to be improbable. It absolutely does follow for the reasons I presented in my logical problem of evil.
Premise 8 is therefore Jesus was resurrected.
Yes. No. Don't reject resurrection. I reject the existence of the Christian God. We're granting resurrection. My apologies for my miscommunication.
No
but
problem.
The point of contention here is the simple fact that you will not respond to my question. And I'm sorry for interrupting you, Parker, and I'm sorry for being very direct and concise with this question, but this question remains to go unanswered. And I will not be able to respond to your worldview and show you how it is fundamentally flawed in the given senses if you continue to not respond to any of my questions. My one question that I want a response to is that should you experience the little bit of pain of a vaccine entering into your arm for the reason that you must experience that pain to reap the greater good?
You already used this argument, right? Like you kind of used this
example. It's not an argument, it's a question.
Okay, you already used this question, right? I vividly
remember able to answer.
Can
you answer it again? Can you answer again? I obviously don't remember your answer.
I'm not going to answer the question again. Move on to another argument.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna have
a. Why should I do that? 1 second. No, let me ask him. Why should I do that?
Because we got no progress, and you can keep repeating for an hour and a half, and even this itself, it's just there's no progress. It's pointless.
Is it possible that we're not getting progress because you refuse to answer the question?
Who cares about possibility?
So you won't even address that it is possible that the reason we are not getting progress is because of the simple fact that you will not answer my questions.
Yes.
How,
I will not
how?
answer your question. I will not answer your question because there was no progress. Like, so why do you
Okay.
heart? Is this your only argument? That's my only thought. Like, do you only have one argument? Is that why like you think we should just keep going down this line?
No, there's multiple arguments in which I'd have is too far as
Okay.
why I don't think that the
Yeah,
Christian God
I
exists.
think it
But
would be
the
most effective to move to those.
absolutely not.
Dean,
Absolutely not. This is my
I think
argument.
hold up, Dean.
I think
No,
we should get to the debate.
absolutely not.
I think you can harp on you not like thinking he answers your question. I understand that, but I do think it would be most productive for this debate for it to move on to like a different point against him.
Okay, let's see if I could rephrase the same issue with different terms to see if you'll get it this time. I
Alright,
have other
Parker.
arguments, such as the problem of
Parker.
perfection, right?
That's not Parker.
But the thing is, you won't address this argument because you know it defeats your worldview.
Yeah,
So
dude.
why would I let you just shoot past
You
it?
caught me, bro. You caught me, dude. Good job. You caught me, dude. All right. I mean, we can give closing statements one if you want. If you don't want to move on to another argument, that's okay.
Listen, I'll just go ahead and spell it out for you. So if God allows for
So,
something,
Parker,
let me spell it out.
this is not a monologue. You're not going to speak without me responding.
Okay, and you could respond if you want to. I hope you do. So if we
No,
have an all good,
This is not good faith at all.
if we have an all good God, we would expect their primary
Parker, bro.
motivation. If we have an all good God, we would expect their primary motivation
This is
and their
comedic,
decision.
bro.
It's comedic. It is. You won't respond, right? If we have an all good God, their primary motivation and discerning what they would want to allow or what they wouldn't want to allow would be goodness, which would lead us to the conclusion that an all good God would only allow things that ultimately should occur, right? And if an all good God would do the contrary of this, if an all good God would possibly allow things that ultimately shouldn't occur, in what sense are they all good? So, as far as I see, we have two branches for our communication here. Does God only allow things that ultimately should occur? Or is it possible that God allows for other things as well?
I thought you were just monologuing. Why are you asking me a question?
Because I am now completely rephrasing the argument and asking you in other terms. Are you able to respond to the question?
Honestly, I wasn't listening at all.
Okay. I'll go ahead and repeat it, right?
Dean, he's
Okay,
he's not going to listen
Listen,
to it.
if you repeat
Okay.
the argument, we're ending it here and we can give closing statements.
Yeah, bro. If you don't want to engage with my logical problem of evil, I take this as a W.
Good job, bro. You won.
I think it would be most advantageous to like address other things. You could take this as a W, but like I think we should address other things in this conversation as well, given that we have the space to do so.
How could I not take it? How could I not take it in that sense? If he
Okay.
completely refuses to engage in it, why wouldn't I win? Someone tell me why I'm wrong. I absolutely and unequivocally demolished
Let me
you
explain.
because you won't respond to my
You're talking too
questions.
much. Be quiet. Be quiet. Listen. I said explicitly. I'm gonna. We can look at the recording. I said explicitly. Let's go through this one more time, and after we do that, we're moving on. You agreed, and now you're repeating it 10 times. It's silly, bro. It's silly.
If you could demonstrate to me that the reason this conversation is unproductive is because of my doing, we will move on right now.
No, it's not necessarily your doing. It's your argument, and I've
If you
argued that.
could demonstrate to me specifically what in my argument is making this conversation unproductive and you're justified, we will move on right now.
Well, there's 5 minutes. Okay. So I would just say this. Okay. There are issues in your definition of normativity. I gave some counterexamples. There are issues in making no distinction between God allowing something versus an agent acting. These are a number of issues I drew out, and I kept answering your questions with respect to what you use a lot of language like all things considered, and you completely just grant my resurrection argument. And so I think that's the summary of the debate. That's literally all that happened.
Okay, so you're saying that the issues in my argument is there's some sense of the normative language I'm using that is making this conversation unproductive.
Your definition, and that's the first issue.
Okay, which is?
Good is what ought be done, for example.
Okay, so remember, we have completely refrained from the use of language such as good.
Yeah, and I said
We'll throw it out.
If you're using the same referent as good and impermissible, then the critique works as well. There's no difference.
Okay, here's my thing. I think something is impermissible if it shouldn't happen. Prove me wrong.
That's not an argument. You're just presupposing.
You disagree? Well, this is not a presupposition. It is the okay. I'll give you the
The
I'll give
Christian
you
God
the
exists.
I'll
The
give
Christian
you
God
the
exists. Prove me
I'll
wrong.
give you the
Prove me
analytic.
wrong.
I'll give you the analytic
Christian
proof
God
for this.
exists.
I'll give you the analytic proof for this. So the reason something is impermissible if it shouldn't occur, right? Well, this is just simply evaluating the success-failure relationship of this normative should claim, right? So basically, what we are saying is there's this object, right? And this object either should or shouldn't exist, right? Let's just take existence, for instance, right? And if this object should exist, right, we'd say it would be good for this object to exist. And if this object shouldn't
Wait, why are you
exist,
saying
we
good?
would say bad for this object to
Why are you
exist.
saying good?
Because goodness and
What are you looking?
badness simply reflect
What are you looking at?
shoulds. I'm looking at you. Goodness and badness simply reflect shoulds and should nots. And I will simply ask you, if you disagree with me, please either give me an example of something that is good, that it's not the case it should happen, right? An example of something that's good that shouldn't happen, or an example of something that's bad that should happen. Give me an example to show me how I am wrong.
Yeah, I mean, first, again, that's not an argument. I gave a Sophie Choice example. I gave a trolley example. And we can rehash
no, you
it.
didn't. No, you
Okay.
didn't. The trolley
Yeah.
example. The trolley example. All right, you could either kill one person or 5 people.
Okay,
Would you
we're
say
gonna
you
rehash it.
should kill the one person over the
There's
5
3 minutes
people?
left. I think we should give our closing statements. You can give the.
No. You
There's
brought up
3
a
minutes.
contention. I think it's bullshit. I think it's bullshit. Would you say that we should kill the
Nobody
one person
cares.
over the 5 people?
Okay, there's 3 minutes left. You want to give our closing statements?
You can't even address it. You say there's an issue with my argument. I press you on it, and you pivot away and you refuse to answer.
We rehashed this, bro.
I specifically asked you to explicitly state the issues with the argument, and you say it has to do with normativity and using a good statement to suggest something that should occur. And then I ask you for a counterexample to this. You give me the trolley problem that I demonstrate to you how inside of the trolley problem, we're still using the same language. You should kill the one person, given the fact that the other option would result in more suffering.
Yeah, so listen, we can do our closing statements because there's no time left. You can take whatever as a dub. And I think this debate and this live debate is a good example of why I don't do live debates. You said you don't think I would do it because you don't think I can. The audience can decide.
You've proven that.
Okay, good job. Okay, and I can engage your arguments in a video so the language can be unambiguous and all these things. But the point is you're just continuing on this one argument. I guess you don't have any other argument. You granted the resurrection, and so whatever. Look at
that, folks. You can engage with the argument. You are saying now that you want to do closing statements.
Real quick. Parker.
Why do we have to end? I want to keep going.
I mean, if you have time, Brooks, I would love to be able to like make it so that we can reference the resurrection point, and then we can go into closing statements after that. Or I mean, Dean can bring up another argument if you. But
okay.
I mean, if you don't have time, we can.
I want to give my recap of the debate so far. Here's my recap.
I want to hear what Brooks says real quick.
Sure, fine.
Okay. We said the debate would be 2 hours, and so I planned things around that. It's about to turn 7. That's 5 to 7, and so we ran out of time. And so we can give closing statements. Dean, you can have the last word if you want.
Yeah, just real quick. Would you say that this debate has been unproductive for the reason that you can't engage with my logical problem of evil on the basis that you think my normative language is flawed, even though you couldn't present a counterargument to the way in which I'm using my normative language?
Yeah, I mean, so you can just phrase it however you want. I think there are a number of issues with the argument, which I tried to bring up, and then you just ask the same question over, maybe in a little bit different way.
Bullet point them.
I don't know. What did you say?
Bullet point the issues.
I won't
even respond to them. I won't. No, Brooks. Closing statement. I want you to bullet point the issues with my position, so we could at least reflect on it and see if it was true in the context of the debate. That's all I'm going to ask. I'll make this clear. I'm not going to respond to them. I want you to bullet point your particular objections to my argument that you think made it unproductive, so everyone watching can roll back the tapes to see how your reasons why you won't engage are cowardly.
Okay.
Take it away.
Yeah, so do you want me to include in my closing statement? Do you want to have the last word? I can let you have it.
No, I want you to have the last word. I want you to bullet point the particular
Okay.
issues
Yeah.
with my argument so everyone
I'll-
could watch it back and realize how wrong you are.
Yeah. Okay. I'll bullet point it in my closing statement, so you can go ahead and do your closing statement. Do you want to do like
Yeah,
2 minutes, Parker, or something?
Yeah, I got you. All
awesome.
2 minute.
Yep, I'll take my 2 minutes. Listen, I think at the end of the day, the big problem with the existence of the Christian God is reconciling it with the suffering and the evil that exists in the world. One of the many ways to reconcile these issues is by presenting theodicies, such as skeptical theism, or a type of the fine-tuning argument, but in the context of suffering. I don't know the name of it. And the issue with these is that they merely attempt to justify why the evil should occur. For instance, skeptical theism posits that God allows the evil because it reaps some greater good. What is the implicit statement here? That the evil should occur because if it didn't, the world would be worse off as the greater good would be forsaken, right? And this was all I wanted to get across to Brooks. I wanted to demonstrate this. But what Brooks did was he rejected the argument as a whole by rejecting something good, merely telling us, right, what should occur, and something bad merely telling us what shouldn't occur. And I feel as if Brooks had no grounding for these rejections. Rather you're an atheist, rather you're a Christian, rather you're a Dean supporter or a Brooks supporter, what we need to recognize here is not, I don't like your language, is not a productive counter argument to my response or version of the logical problem of evil. And if my language was flawed, Brooks should have been able to demonstrate the flaws in it. But just simply saying the trolley problem, but with a response such as the idea that you should kill the one person in comparison to killing the five, defeats it. If you are listening right now and you think that you should kill the one person in comparison to killing the five, you disagree with Brooks' counter argument and or
It's 2 minutes,
objections to
Dean.
mine.
All right.
2 minutes, Brooks.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I mean, I would say that I presented an argument. It wasn't touched besides premise 9. So I want to remind all of you that Dean did grant that the resurrection happened. And so largely, if you just remember that the resurrection was not touched. And so if you think his argument is confusing and plausible, highly contentious, I mean, there's no philosopher, or it's pretty universal that they reject a logical problem of evil. And even he uses kind of a very specific, odd problem of evil. So if you just think it's kind of pretty bad, like I do, then I think it's good to accept that he granted, or realize that he granted the resurrection, and thus that it follows. I mean, you guys can tell me what you think of my argument. And so I did present a number of issues with his argument. I brought up my issues with his definition. I gave a choice of Sophie's choice. I gave an example about Christians, for example. He thinks it's good to push falsehood and oppress the marginalized. I also talked about a distinction between what God ought to allow versus what an agent ought do. And so there's a clear distinction there. This allow permissibility versus an action. And so that just summarizes my issues with the debate. And he wanted to keep rehashing different issues, and it literally got nowhere. And this is an example. This is what I said would happen, and I was concerned about, is we would make no progress. But that's what happens. And it was annoying that we got banned, but can't help that. So anyways, if you guys like my argument, you can engage my argument. It was 10 premises. You just attack the 9th one. And yeah, that's it.
Okay, could you give
All
the
right.
bullet points now?
I just did.
No, like specifically with the normative language, just so we could reflect on it. Like the specific issues.
I just gave all of my examples. I went through, I don't even know if I went through all of it, but I went through multiple examples of my issues there. I mean, why are you trying to continue debate after we did a closing statement? I'm sorry.
I'm not trying to continue. Like I'm saying, I won't respond to it. You just said that there's issues with my normative language. That's what you said 10 seconds ago. I'm just asking you to be more specific. That's all.
Cool.
Are you able to do that?
I mean, bro, like you're so like,
Okay, you're good.
deceptive
You're
and
good. You're good. That's all I wanted to show. You're good.
Okay. You're quite deceptive. It's odd.
No,
Okay.
no, you can't name the specific issues. You're good, bro.
Well, I mean, Brooks.
Is that logical to follow?
I don't want to get between this, but I mean, I do think that you probably should give him this answer before you go, at least. And also, like, he would give responses to the resurrection point. We just didn't get to that. Also, I would say that probably because Dean harped on that point, but I mean, I can give many reasons as to why the conversation went the way it did. But we should probably answer that, and then maybe we could set up a future time to fully go over the resurrection.
What do you want me to relist? Like, I went through issues of, again, the Sophie's choice of the Christian example of your confusion or confusion about normativity. You talked about like epistemic odds, like you couldn't really make a good distinction. You started talking about, oh, it's moral odds, but then you don't even introduce that in your definition. Like, I think you ought to speak according to the definitions the grammar of English, but I don't think you're committing evil if you do not act according to the grammars of English. Where I think you ought to cut your fingernails, but I don't think it's evil to not do that. And so fundamentally, it's just a bad definition. I think there are multiple counterexamples. It ignores distinctions. It uses a lot of ambiguous language, and that's my answer. I can repeat it again if you want.
No, man, I appreciate you for that. There's moral outs and non-moral outs. I think just saying that there's non-moral outs doesn't address my argument considering the moral outs. But you're good, bro.
All right, sounds good. Well, real quick, I just say, all glory to God. I don't know if we made much progress, but I sincerely do wish your salvation. I know your mind might have blocked some things, but I do wish for your salvation and everyone watching. Anyways, God bless.
Let me know when you're ready to address
Have a
those
good day,
moral
man.
outs.
How do you feel about that, Dean?
Okay, so my takeaway from the conversation that we just had with Brooks was it was very unfortunate that he wasn't able to address the argument in its slightest. His only contentions has to do with the language that I used. His biggest contention had to do with the idea that it's not necessarily the case that if something's good, that this means it should happen. And the reason he said this was because there are things that are like that should happen that don't pertain to goodness, which is absolutely true, right? We have epistemic should claims and we have like moral should claims because at the end of the day, all a should claim is the evaluation of a success and failure relationship. Like for instance, right? If I say I should move this chess piece up and across the board, and I do move the chess piece up and across the board, then I achieved the success of the success-failure relationship. Does this demonstrate anything when we're talking about morality? No, not at all. But you know what does demonstrate things about morality is when we have good or bad reasons in this normative sense to do things. Such as we say that we shouldn't murder people because it is bad to murder people. We say that we shouldn't, allow slavery because it is bad to allow slavery. We say that we shouldn't grape people because it is bad to grape people, right? So if something is bad, it means you shouldn't do it. But then think on the inverse. I should go give my mom a hug. Right? Or more instance, if someone like that would be a claim in which is merely permissible, which is the third option. If I say I should repay my debt to my father, this means I have some type of moral obligation to repay my debt to my father. It is good for me to repay my debt to my father, right? And things such as that. So it's just an utter lack of understanding of normativity that Brooks displayed. It's an utter lack of understanding of moral ought claims in which Brooks displayed. And this was all in a very sour attempt to muddy the waters on my specific version of the logical problem of evil, and I'm very sad that that happened to have had unfolded.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm gonna give my thoughts on the debate and whatnot. I do think he completely didn't try to engage with that argument fully enough to the point in which he should. I did think he tried to muddy the water to a particular extent. I would have thought it would have been more like productive in the conversation to move off of that after realizing that he wouldn't, but I do agree that he wasn't really engaging with that point. I also think it would have been important to get to like the point that that he what's it called? The argument that he wanted to run, but he said only 2 hours, which is, I mean, significantly less than what I expected. But
Yes, he ran. And listen,
did he say 2 hours
everyone,
to you?
he said we could go for 2 hours, but we could also agree to go longer at the end. So he just simply didn't want to go for longer with me. I mean, shit. I'll show that on stream. I'll show that on stream.
For sure, for sure. Um, JC, the reason why he wouldn't is because he thought that he wasn't responding to the particular point. So I understand where Dean's coming from there, but I do think it would have been
Here.
most advantageous to
Is that
address
in
other
reverse?
points.
Is that in reverse?
Yeah, I do see
There,
it.
I'll.
2 hours.
Oh wait, was it like the right way?
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah, I read.
Okay. Yeah. So here's him saying, "Are you good to debate for 2 hours?" Right? And then I'm saying, "But maybe we can both be willing to go past." So what that demonstrates is that he wasn't willing to go past because he didn't want to engage with my argument. And the bigger point that I want to make about that all is he continually said that all philosophers in the literature reject the logical problem of evil. Well, if it is such a shitty argument, so shitty that everyone in the literature rejects it, shouldn't have he been able to give good reason why he rejects it?
How do we? Oh wait, here. I think I can check. Wait, I can't even find the ones from today. I wish I could find all the people who sent message. Or wait, I think I found it. Wait, no, I didn't. Okay, I can't find it for some reason. I can't find the supers that people sent. I do apologize to all the people I didn't say thank you to. Thank you for all of the donations that people did send. I for some reason, if anyone could tell me in the comment section how to find that, I would love to be able to find that. And then everyone, the granting of the resurrection, that was just for argumentation. That wasn't because he actually thinks resurrection occurred.
You want to get some other people's thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to add in people to the group chat, go for
Yeah,
it.
sure. I also I'd like to maybe add a Christian up in here as well.
For sure.
Danny.
Should I fully? I'm gonna make the full screen my webcam, so that it doesn't like dox anyone if no one wants their name.
Danny, can you send me a guest request on Oh wait, you don't need to do that yet. You don't need to do that yet.
Brooks is not coming back. No, that is completely done. Everyone, the debate is completely done. I thought it would go longer. He said maybe 2 hours. So I don't know why he would have like set up stuff right after the 2 hours if he said maybe 2 hours. That's my one concern.
Here,
If y'all get what I mean there, at least.
yeah, so he said like, oh, we could maybe do 2 hours, maybe more. But then apparently he had plans that he had to go to right at 2 hours.
Yeah, it's I mean, that is a little bit. That doesn't really make any sense to me, but
Listen, I'll take the
maybe
W,
he
bro.
did plan it. I mean, that's still possible, but it's just not probable, I would think.
I absolutely and unequivocally think that I won that debate. Absolutely. Here, I'm just adding Danny. I'm sure you could like put all of us up.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, what do y'all think in the comment section?
So what you'll find in the comment section is a bunch of Christians ignoring the fact that Brooks ran, ignoring the fact that Brooks couldn't detail the particular issues in my normative language, ignoring the fact that Brooks changed his mind on if necessary evil should occur 5 times. What you'll also see is them just simply ignoring the fact that I did engage with his argument, rejected premise 9, granted resurrection, and he didn't engage with my response. All right, we got Danny up in here.
You can make another group chat if you want to do that instead.
Yep.
Yeah,
Danny,
make
I sent
this
you a
full,
guest
and
request.
then I'll join the.
Let's do it. Let's do
A
it.
guest request is crazy.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
You're fine.
Dan, I sent you a friend request. You gotta accept it.
Is today like we continue doing TikTok day, or I don't know. I don't know if today's a continue doing TikTok day. What do y'all think? What do y'all think, chat? I still have time today, I think. So we could do that. Let's stay here. I'm
There
gonna
we
stay
go.
here for a bit. I want to stay here, just talk about things, and then we'll move over.
Yeah, I created a group chat with your daddy, I'll call it. And you could put us all, like all of our webcams
You
on.
say your daddy, bro? That's crazy.
Wait, no, I said Danny, sorry.
I'm just messing. Oh my god, chat. So unbelievable.
Your info being on?
Am I in?
Yep.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I
Shit,
mean it's
one
just his
second, my
name.
microphone's
It's just his
fucked up.
name. So
Yeah,
I
we're
mean
good.
I don't think we're doing anything bad here.
What are your thoughts, Danny?
Yeah, one second. Let me fix my stuff here. Give me a second. I wonder what. Oh, there we go.
There we go.
Yeah. So there was the. It's too bad that you got banned, or we got banned. When you asked him about the free will stuff, I thought that stuff was interesting. At some point he was agnostic about whether aborted fetuses go to heaven or hell. That was kind of an insane take. There was other stuff there. But it got ended. I would have wanted to see where that went. But the critical thing is that at some point he said that a necessary evil should occur, right? Didn't he not say? He did say that.
Yeah, I wrote that down.
He wrote that is accepting that for all instances of evil, they're going to be necessary because God. He said that God wouldn't permit unnecessary evil. So all of the evil that exists in the world is necessary. And if he thinks that necessary evil ought to happen because it's necessary, okay, then all evil ought to occur. And the terrible consequence of that is the atrocities that, with the Polish children, the killing fields, the Holocaust, graping, all of this stuff. Brooks is committed to saying that all of this stuff should occur. As far as I understand.
And that's where I think he kind of made it muddy, because I do think Dean harped on this point, and he said, so then were the actions of the Nazis necessary? Right? Which, because again, they were evil, right? Every evil is necessary, right? Therefore, the actions of the Nazis are necessary. Well, therefore, all things considered, they're good. And he just kept muddying the water and saying, "Oh, what does all things considered mean?" Right? He doesn't know what it means to say all things considered. So I do think that
Yeah, that should have been a very clear. That should be a very clear term or phrase. Because look, think about, for those that don't understand that phrase, for the Brooks, the slow Brooks fans out there. Okay, look, think about pros and cons. Okay, should I major in science or should I major in liberal arts? You do a pros cons list, right? Now each pro may not count as something that's decisive in your decision making, but what you do is you look at all your pros and cons. And then all of them considered, all things considered, everything that you know, you make a decision about what you should major in, right? So the notion of a should, on all things considered should, is the very kind of should that determines what you should do, right? So for him to go like, that's vague or that's ambiguous, right? It's not that ambiguous. It's the sense of should that we use when we say, hey, don't do that. You shouldn't do that. That's the same sense of should.
Yeah. I don't know how to.
It would be cool if we got some of these people that think that Brooks did well.
Yeah,
If they could come up here, but
we should do StreamYard then. Fuck, I don't have StreamYards up. That's why. Maybe we could join the Discord.
yeah, can you do the can
Yeah,
can you do,
everyone join discord.gg/Dean.
Bro said, "Let's join Dean's Discord." Okay, we can. Join
I was the
Dean's.
one that debated him. I was the one
Okay,
that
Dean,
debated him.
we'll join
bro.
yours, buddy. We'll join yours.
I went through war, motherfucker.
I can't find your server. Yeah, Dean. Wait, no, here it is. I got it. All right, join Dean's server.
Wait, what if I would this work if I started a StreamYard and then you just would that work?
No,
Like that
we'd lose the 2,000 people.
No, they wouldn't. They join. We put the link in the chat, and they can just join, right? And then we can hear them through my Discord.
Well, we could do that if you want.
Let me try that really fast. And
I mean, I think it's the same to get people through Discord, but either way works.
really, but then the link would be in Would we have a link in chat? What's easiest? I could be wrong about what's easiest.
Okay, maybe because people who are Brooks people haven't joined the Discord.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know. But let me create it really fast. It shouldn't take too long.
Okay, for sure.
Let's,
Yeah, we had an hour 30 on my. Yeah, we didn't have that long to debate. That would have done fine on TikTok. TikTok just fucking hates us and wants to ban us. Like
okay,
that live was insane.
Trying to think how this. So if I, so I'm gonna share my. No, I don't know if I don't think this is gonna work now that I think about it.
Yeah.
How are we gonna do on the Discord thing?
We just join the Discord and then we'll have like a debate stage and then we can just invite people up to the debate stage.
Okay, and stop stream. And you're still gonna stream on YouTube?
Yeah.
Okay, that's just easier.
Yeah. So
All right, everyone join general.
Everyone join general. Let's see.
So that means we got to end this call.
Yeah, we'll just
Wait.
go to general.
Wait, I have a debate stage.
Okay, what's the debate stage?
Here. So it's under voice channels.
I
It's
see
the
it.
first one.
I'm joining it.
So,
Okay, we're joining it, everyone. Admin, let's go, chat. Let's go.
Go, dude.
Join the Discord if you want, everyone. You can join the Discord. Link is discord.gg/Dean. Aren't you gonna have people joining, trying to send tickets?
Oh no, we took that off.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Bill, it is.
And we only want Brooks supporters that, right? We don't want any
only
no
Brooks
allowed.
supporters. No friends.
All right.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll go ahead and start. Just put your hand up. Raise your hand in the Discord call. If that's what you want. Do you want me to start bringing some people up here?
Yeah. Bring some people up.
All right. I see one person.
I should probably cover in case they do something stupid.
Wait, can we just disable the camera? Do we need the camera?
Yeah, can we disable their cameras?
I don't know if we can.
Oh, yeah, we can. Honestly, what you could do. I disabled video. You don't need to cover. You're good.
Okay, thanks.
All right, we're gonna go and get him up here. What's up, man?
No.
Are you a opposition?
Fuck the nigger.
Okay, so yep. Thank you for kicking them.
Yeah, who did that? Whoever did that, you're on it. Yo, mods? Right, y'all are gonna be on it. I mean, at least we're on YouTube.
I need time to process that shit, so someone just heard the sound of N and knew exactly when to
Hello.
kick. Crazy.
Whale,
Y'all hear me good? I'm talking to my
Whale
phone.
doesn't disagree. Whale's friendly.
What? Yeah. Well,
All right.
Oh.
Big Iron, do you think that
Rest in peace.
sorry, Whale. You think
Can y'all hear me well? Y'all hear me well?
Sorry, Whale.
Yeah, we
Do
hear
you
you.
think
What's
that
up,
Brooks
man?
won the debate?
Yeah, I'm a Brooks supporter, but yeah.
Okay, why do you think he won?
Well, I more or less I went in there on his side. I'm kind of biased, but at the same time, it was the same argument over and over again. I just think you want to get past it.
But if that's, he's bringing up the problem of evil. This is one of the most significant issues on for Christian theism. Like, if you go to any page on arguments against the existence of God, this will be your number one. So to say that it's just one argument, right, is to dismiss probably the singular most problematic type form of argument against Christian theism.
I got you. Is that why y'all use that? I mean, that makes sense. I get that, but
right. I think it should be. I think it's good to spend a lot of time on that argument because this is why so many people are just it doesn't add up. Loving God, shady things happen is the simplistic way of putting it, but it should be addressed at least.
I understand that. I feel like he was, not to say, I feel like it was more 50-50. I just don't feel like a point was made. I don't feel like anybody was really won because I feel like everybody was too stuck on that.
Here's
one
my question.
thing.
Why do you think it was that way? Why do you think it was stuck?
I feel like I feel like he was trying to move on, and I know you want to get your point across. I understand that completely because I would have too if I was stuck on something like I would want to get my point across as well. But I feel like Brooks wanted to move on really bad, and I guess he was stuck on that. So, and since
Why do you think he
since
wanted
y'all
to
kept
move on?
reverting, I just don't think anything could have changed.
Why do you think he wanted to move on?
Well, he probably wanted to get to a different point because I feel like he tried to answer the question to the best of his ability, and then I guess I feel like this wasn't good enough. Honestly, I don't know anywhere like other way to put it.
Oh, wow. Okay, I give him my argument. He tries to respond. His response wasn't valid. Does that mean that he conceded the point?
I just noticed a lot of Oh, I'm sorry. Wait, hold on. What do you mean by conceded the point?
Yeah, if he tried to respond, but his response just wasn't good enough, that means he lost the point.
Well, I mean, I guess you could say that on that argument, but I just don't think like. That was being made because it was just the same thing over and over again. I don't feel like you lost completely though. I feel like y'all should have moved on, but then maybe went back to it if the next what do you say like subject of the next argument or whatever involved that. I feel like
Well, I
y'all
might
could.
agree that that would have been more entertaining, but because people get tired, when they hear the same stuff over and over again. But um, if this is the reason why Dean mainly rejects Christianity, or to move on is to move on from the greatest of the greatest objection that Dean has to Christian theism. But I mean, I'm with you.
It would have
I'm
been
with
way
you.
more entertaining if I moved on. So much more entertaining, absolutely.
And I completely understand. I don't want to seem like I'm bashing you for that, but I completely understand why you want to get your point across. Is like to get that equal understanding. I completely understand you there, but I feel like moving on. Yeah, I feel like we could have. Everybody could have got a little more entertainment. I completely understand you there.
Well, I don't know what Parker wants to do, but Parker, we should have someone up that specifically disputes the argument,
Yeah,
or
I agree.
specifically
Well,
thinks that.
I'm not able to. Wait, actually, can I
Yeah.
drop people?
Yep.
Yeah,
How
but
do I don't know. Do I drag or like what do I do?
You right click and then
oh my
invite to
gosh, why are you
speak.
you're such a boomer, Parker?
I
And then
know,
just
dude.
invite
I
to
don't use
speak with people
Discord.
with their hand up.
Okay.
Just look for people with their hand up and invite them up to speak. I see Faith in Films is there, so is Rudy.
M Rudy. Let's add M Rudy.
Gotcha.
I don't know what button. Invite to speak.
There you go.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. What's up, Rudy?
Just a couple points. I mean, I know like Dean, you're not like familiar with like formal debates. Maybe you are, but like it's kind of insane to me that you started to argue against his closing statement. Like after the closing statement, the debate should be done.
Yeah, I've really felt like proving my point, and I think I did successfully. That's what I have to say about that.
So that's your justification for arguing a closing statement? That's kind of insane.
Okay, yeah, I made him look really bad.
What?
I made him look terrible.
I think, like personally, I mean, I didn't think he did a great job, but I don't think you made yourself look good. Because you, like, first off, Parker, like,
So do you
you did a
object to
great
like
job
the
moderating
argument?
the debate. Hold on, Parker, you did a great job moderating, but then even in a debate debrief, which you do later on, you're the moderator's still kind of not very biased. And then, like, as soon as he leaves, you guys just start talking about your opinions on the debate. It just wasn't
Hey,
good faith.
so do you object to the argument that I
Wait.
gave?
Are you saying it wasn't good faith for me just to wait to give my opinion until after the debate?
No, I'm saying directly after he leaves, you guys start talking about the debate, and then you keep going. When he's not there to respond anymore.
What you want me to start talking about it when?
I
So
don't know.
when should I give my opinions on it?
Later on,
When?
restart, and then you
I have to
restart, and then
I
you
have
do
to
it later.
restart to give my opinions on it?
Hold on, Parker,
I literally my opinions on it were pretty unbiased, right? I thought that
no,
he
no, I agree. I agree
I literally
that
gave
you
reasons
did
for
a good
both
job.
sides.
Yeah, but on the other hand, I don't think Dean should be monologuing as soon as the debate's over and he leaves when he's not there to respond anymore.
So when should I be able to talk about it?
What
I don't know,
else
at
were we
different
supposed to
times.
talk
In
about
what?
right now?
Hold on. In what debate do you ever see a moderator and one of the debaters stay on after directly after the debate is going? Stay on and
I
then
did that
just
when
talk
Marianne
about.
Williamson came on my live.
We
I'm
do
saying
that all.
in
Wait,
the
then also we
professional
do that
world.
every day. We do that every
I'm
day.
saying in the yeah, in
Wait,
informal
what do you mean in the
debate.
professional world?
I'm saying
We're not
in
trying to do something
formal.
professional here. This was originally just
I
like
thought you
on
guys were doing
TikTok.
more of a formal debate.
More
You
formal
guys
than
said closing statements.
yeah, so more formal than we typically do, but that doesn't mean like we're doing full formal.
Yep.
Okay, so you think it's in good faith as soon as he leaves, to Dean for to just ramble on again about
Look,
this
listen,
argument.
Yeah, give his
it's just
thoughts. Yeah.
you're just criticizing the debate etiquette. Is that interesting?
No, and I had another thing. I
You're
thought it
just
was horrible
criticizing the
debate
etiquette.
etiquette.
You're just
Yeah, I thought it was
that's not that
horrible.
interesting, honestly. Even if you're right,
No,
it's not
but I had a question. I had a question, Danny. That was just my first thing.
okay.
Um, I'm still working through Dean's argument and stuff. I'm still working through that on my own. But why? He did make a good point, and like, most of the well-known philosophers, they reject like a logical. Even no, I'm saying the atheistic philosophers. They don't ever use a logical problem of evil. It's always evidentiary.
Yeah, well, there are a lot of reasons for that. But first of all, there are two. Do you know who came up with the divine hiddenness argument?
I'm not sure.
Very famous atheist philosopher J.L. Schellenberg. He still runs a logical problem of evil. Also,
Okay.
there's new developments in I think his last name is I think Sorbia. I have to get the first name. He just recently published a book on the logical problem of evil, although his includes a lot of like a lot of political theory. It's true that the logical problem of evil has sort of phased out a little bit, mostly
Yeah.
because of people like Alvin Plantinga and people that run the free will theodicy. But I mean, that happens in philosophy, right? Like, you get ebbs and flows of various positions, and right now there are talks about the logical problem of evil, although it sort of died in the 80s and 90s. It makes no difference to whether the argument is sound.
Yeah, I know. I was just saying because like I'm having a hard time like look at the logical problem of evil because I'm trying to dissect Dean's argument and stuff, and I'm trying to look to other avenues and see who has confronted this and stuff, like the philosophers that confronted this. But I've had trouble because a lot of people they always run a probabilistic argument, so that's
Yeah.
why I didn't realize that. And then Brooks said that, and I'm like, oh, that is true. Like I haven't heard a logical problem of evil in any
Well,
of the
what's happened
debates.
is a bunch of apologists, including Brooks, have been saying, "Oh, the logical problem of evil is dead." And when apologists repeat that over and over and over again, when they don't understand the problem, right? You get this culture of like, "Oh, well, you're giving the logical problem of evil. Well, we can dismiss that." Right? That's what's happened. Is these apologists just repeat that it's a dead argument, right? But
Mhm.
I mean, if you take the same standard, by the way, then the ontological argument is dead, right? I mean, like there's so few philosophers that accept the ontological argument for the existence of God, right? Does that mean that if Brooks had run the modal ontological argument, that we could just say, well, no one accepts this argument, right? I mean, are we willing to accept that?
Sorry, what's the ontological argument?
It's one of the it's an argument showing that God must exist because of his essence, or that the concept of God entails his existence, something like that. The nature of God entails his existence. Also,
Is that an
tag
argument?
arguments. Y'all have heard tag arguments. How do you account for logic and all that? No, but that's even more dead than the logical problem of evil. But I hear that shit all over the place in TikTok. How do you ground the laws of logic? How do you ground transcendentals? How do you ground
Yeah.
numbers? Right? That shit is not even talked about in philosophy of religion. But I rarely tell the pre-suppers that, oh well, that no one really takes it seriously in philosophy of religion.
No, yeah, I agree. Like, I don't think you should say that. I was just wondering why that's the case. Like in modern philosophy, I just
Oh,
don't see
I was muted. I'd also like to add here that I don't think that did anything for him, for the reason that if
I don't think so either. I was just
virtually all
asking a question
philosophers-
why.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just
Um,
asking why is that the case? I mean, because it
I don't
seems like
know.
a pretty good argument.
Jack.
I just don't. I mean, I guess you could just say like everything should happen. I mean,
That's what I think. That's what I've heard. My smartest Christian friends just say that, and then that's it.
Okay.
yeah, because then it becomes probabilistic, right?
Discussion right now.
Okay,
Or
so just real quick, Imruti, do you have any like contentions with my argument or not?
Well, if I were to say everything should happen, what would that lead to? What logical contradiction would that lead to?
Well, it's going to make certain things like, oh man, too bad we couldn't stop the Holocaust earlier. Like, I don't know if you know, Auschwitz wasn't bombed during the when it was at its height in 1941. The Allies actually didn't bomb that shit. When everyone
Mhm.
thinks that they probably should have, it would have saved millions of people from getting gassed. but we knew what was going on with the concentration camps. But if you're right in saying that everything that has happened should have happened, then for someone to suggest the idea that we should have stopped the Germans from transporting Holocaust victims to Auschwitz, well, they would be mistaken.
So there would be no logical contradiction.
Well,
It would
contradict
become a
any belief.
probabilistic
It would contradict
argument.
any belief or any idea that we've made mistakes in human history.
Okay, but it'd become a probabilistic argument if I were to say that.
No. Look, the fallback is that most people, including yourself, I would guess, would think that we should have, if we could have, we should have stopped these things like the killing fields, like the Holocaust. It was
Yeah.
a travesty that we got there late.
Yeah, I would say that.
Yeah, and so,
But I'm asking particularly if I were to respond with that, would that become a probabilistic argument?
it's not probabilistic. It only contradicts the belief that we should have done something differently than what we did. Now, there is no logical problem of evil if you don't think there's any evil.
Okay.
Right? The logical problem of evil is a problem for people that think, on one hand, there's evil, right? But on the other hand, God has these properties.
Okay. So
Right,
if you were to
and
just
Go ahead.
there's another thing that Dean mentioned. It was obligatory, impermissible, and permissible. And how did you define each one, Dean?
Well, first of all, it is you have things that are obligatory, you have things that are merely permissible, and then you have things that are impermissible, right? If something is obligatory, all this means is it's something that you should do, right? If you have something that's merely permissible, all this means is that it's not necessarily the case that you should or shouldn't do. It's just you can do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then if something is impermissible, it means it's something you shouldn't do. And
Hold on.
Brooks rejected
Hold on.
this, and this was his issue.
But you said permissible is something you can do. Wouldn't impermissible just be something you can't do?
Which is
not
another way
should
to
not
say
do?
something you shouldn't do. Well, I can do impermissible things, right?
Yeah, but it could also, yes, which would be, no, you can do things that you should not do, which would be permissible.
Oh,
Right.
so you're saying there's things that you shouldn't do that are permissible? So what's the difference between something that you shouldn't do being merely permissible and an amoral action being merely permissible?
Something you shouldn't do that wouldn't be, that is permissible, and an amoral action that's permissible.
Yeah, what's the difference?
I'm not sure. I mean,
There isn't
one
any,
you're held
right?
to a,
So if
well,
you
one
think
you're
that
held to
evil
a,
things are... Go ahead.
one you're held to a standard, the other you're not. I don't know. Maybe
What standard?
you have something imputed to you when you
What
do
does that mean?
something you should not do. Like sin on your heart. If I were to give an example, like you
Okay,
have sin.
so you just feel bad about it when you do one thing?
No, I'm saying that's something God imputes to you. Like you have sin on your heart.
Ah, so he looks at you and he shakes his little finger, but he thinks it's permissible. Why did he shake his finger?
Um, because you can, just because you can do something doesn't mean you should always do something you can do.
I mean, can you explain to me why evil is wrong?
Hold on, can you just answer what I just said? Just because you can do something doesn't mean, just
You
because of
should
the
do it.
fact
Yeah,
you
that's fine.
can do something, you should do it.
Not what the difference is between something that's evil and something that's like obligatory.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I'm still working through the argument. I was curious on that. But hopefully we can do a debate sometime when I do reconcile that argument. But yeah, I just wanted to come up and ask about
So
the why it's not.
just to clarify, you don't have any reasons why I presented a bad argument to Brooks, right?
No, no. I think you could have portrayed it in a completely. You didn't even get to his argument. That's why I think there should have been time segments because you didn't even touch his
Yeah,
argument.
that's fine.
He did touch his argument. He disputed. He said, "I did reject the ninth premise," and then Brooks didn't try to defend it.
That's true.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
they could
Yeah.
have
So I
gone
joined
more.
later.
They also could have gone more into depth on it. Just Brooks, for some reason, had to leave at this time. At
Right.
2 hours. I actually didn't know that they had only 2 hours.
Oh.
I had no clue that. I thought we were gonna go like 3-4 hours.
Yeah, so
I
just to
thought we were
clarify,
like at like halfway stage when he was like leaving.
so just to like clarify, Rudy, you actually don't have any like contentions with my argument, right?
No, like I said, I'm still working through it. Like when I got introduced to like philosophy and stuff, I started to look at like the logical proofs for the existence of God, not necessarily the rebuttals. Because anytime I saw a problem in Vivo, I was like, oh, it's probabilistic. Like
Oh, sure.
demonstrable arguments always outweigh probabilistic ones.
So just to make
Um,
sure, like you don't think that Brooks gave an adequate response to my argument, right?
no, I don't. I don't think so. I think he did a disservice.
So
Well,
because he
I,
didn't
not a disservice, but he
my
didn't
argument.
know how to respond to it.
So just given like the 2 hours that I talked to him, and given the fact that he didn't give an adequate response to my argument, you would say that like I therefore won, right? That 2 hour conversation I had with him, regardless of your thoughts on like the etiquette.
Yeah, I mean, sure. Yeah, I would say you. I mean, he didn't. He made an argument. I mean, I guess you refuted the ninth premise, right?
Yep.
You gave your evidence, and he couldn't refute your evidence. So
Okay.
I would say you won the debate. Yeah, I
Awesome.
just
Well,
think the
Maria, I
etiquette was
appreciate you coming up.
terrible.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
etiquette was pretty bad. We're gonna try to look for people that disagree with you, but I appreciate you for coming up.
Okay.
All right. So yeah.
So what about you?
A couple things. Thank you for the opportunity to spank Parker. That was horrible debate etiquette. I know you guys already discussed that, but as a moderator, the conversation after he said that this topic was going nowhere, you should have stopped. Now I understand you wanted to make a point,
Wait,
but some
real quick,
responded to
real quick.
already.
Without talking about the debate etiquette, we understand that that was poor, piss poor.
And
Do
partly
you
because
think
of
that my
Parker.
argument was bad?
It wasn't your fault. It was Parker's fault. I want to take the blame from
No,
you solely
no,
on Parker.
That's
I don't
because
want to
you're
play that
ignorant as
game.
fuck,
Do that.
dumbass.
No, it is. It was
So,
your job as the moderator to
hey,
make
hey,
sure it didn't get
Wait,
messy like
I
that.
So
want to.
couldn't you say? Wait, do you want me to like stop everyone every single time they speak?
No, but I do want you to make sure that a topic doesn't go on for 3 hours straight.
It did
2
go on for
hours
3 hours,
straight.
dipshit. He
It
was
went
on for
on for
2
2
hours the
hours
whole
straight.
fucking time, and we were
Hey,
off
Yes,
for half
yeah.
of it because of the
hey,
fucking.
Well,
Be quiet, bro. We were off for
guys,
half of it because of literally him having to leave and us getting banned. Okay, so
Also,
we
hey,
weren't
I
even
don't.
running it for
Parker,
3 hours. You're a
triggered.
dipshit.
I don't
Parker,
want
you're
anyone to
triggered
come at.
because you should be. You know, you should be ashamed of yourself. But I
No,
had
No,
real
I
quick,
don't.
I
I don't have
don't.
to be ashamed of myself. I can sit here and say this because I'm not on fucking TikTok.
Hey,
Yeah.
I wanna clarify here. I don't think anyone should be coming at Parker for being a bad moderator, being biased. In
I mean,
fact,
there are
I
definitely
kind
things
of
I
got
did wrong,
I
annoyed.
didn't
but
say he was
like,
biased. I
but
didn't
like,
say that he was
but
biased.
kinda
like,
got
just
I kind of got like
fucking
annoyed.
cry about it, honestly.
I kind of got annoyed with Parker at like times because I thought that he was being too biased towards Brooks. So it's obviously not the case that like Parker was doing like
I don't think
anything
Parker
wrong, right?
was biased. I think that Parker didn't know what to do.
I
But the
literally
bottom
only
line
stopped
is
Dean from speaking,
that
dumbass.
that's wonderful.
Literally,
But
if you
when the
listen to it,
topic
did I
has-
even stop Brooks
okay,
once?
the problem is, and I will say what Dean just said. Dean was able to make the points that he was able to make because the conversation couldn't go forward, and the moderator's job was to stop this. So Dean did win the debate in that sense. However, the conversation should have been stopped an hour and a half ago in the discussion. So you ought to be
Okay,
Based
ashamed
upon
of
whose
yourself.
standard? You,
so
dumbass? Like,
so
I
just to
was trying to
clarify,
get them to go through it
Moderation.
and move
It's
on,
based off
right?
the standards of
so
moderation.
Wait,
just to
standards of
clarify,
your moderation, not mine.
No, well, I understand that, and that's why everyone in the comments said that you should be ashamed of yourself for your performance. But anyway,
Everyone did not say
hey,
that in the comment section.
well, tons of people did. You had
Okay,
9,000
I don't give a
people
fuck.
there.
I don't give a fuck if some people in the comment section
Listen,
did.
no,
Okay, there are
hey,
gonna be
can I
people
hop
that
in here,
disagree on
please?
any
listen,
stage.
your job when
Please,
there are
bro, please.
9,000 people moderating, watching a discussion is to make sure that they aren't wasting their time, not to make sure you cozy up to Dean or Brooks. So you failed at your
No,
job.
my point is to let them
You
be
should be-
free and to make sure that they can engage in dialogue related to finishing points. I was doing that. Okay?
Hey, I have a
If
question.
you think that I didn't do that because I should have cut them off and moved them to a different topic earlier, that's just because you feel like that. I don't give a flying
can I say
fuck how
something?
you feel, to be totally
Well, you
fucking
don't-
real with
it-
you.
it doesn't
I don't
matter.
give a
Listen, I wanna
shit,
say-
bro.
you don't have to get
I honestly,
emotional, you
I
don't
want
have
them
to
to get
get
fully through the
Parker,
problem,
you-
and then
listen,
we can move on to the next
It's
one.
not necessary.
Start,
All
I wanna-
keep crying about it,
It's
buddy.
not- I'm just giving you
I've been
my
trying to say
opinion. The
something here.
drama is not necessary. I'm just giving
Okay,
you
back
my
on mute.
opinion
I've
based
been
off
trying to
of
say
what
something here. Stop
9,000
talking
people
so I can
saw
unmute you,
and some
please.
said. Go ahead. I'm listening.
Okay, there you go. All right, I just been trying to say something here.
Mm-hmm.
You like critiquing how you think Parker did as a moderator is really fucking irrelevant. I think
Mm-hmm.
Parker did just fine, and I think that majority of people, including those that support Brooks, would agree because he literally only told me to stop talking, right? So that's completely fucking
I
irrelevant.
recognize that.
What I'm asking here, do you think that I presented a flawed argument, and do you think that Brooks legitimately addressed the flaws in my argument? That's all I'm asking.
I think he adequately addressed some points that you made in the discussion. In some cases, I think that he probably wasn't prepared to respond to everything, and so he didn't. Which is why
Which
it
is
was so
what?
crucial to move an hour into the discussion so we
What
could
did he
address.
adequately address?
I think one of the points that you made about, let me see if I can remember now. 'Cause I was so disappointed with the moderation. Um, one of the points that he made, let me see, let me try to remember here. You made an argument about, oh shoot, I'm trying to remember. Oh man. Hmm. Oh man, so I'd have to look at his closing statement again. But I thought in the closing statement there were a couple things that he said that I thought were noteworthy. I think when he kept mentioning that it didn't logically follow that just because you should do, sorry, just because there some a good doesn't necessarily always
His
imply
main
an
point
ought.
was
I thought he
I didn't
responded
know
to
debate
that
etiquette.
well.
I don't know formal
But
debate etiquette.
again,
I don't give a
nothing
flying fuck.
happened because of, again, I understand your personality type is probably like an ENTP, so you wanted to press that point continually, and I get that. But the conversation, I mean, went nowhere.
Well, remember the Brojo, you remember the case where you either have to kill 10 people or 20 people. Now, both don't seem like optimal choices, right? But if you were narrowed to those two options, there's we would say that what should you do? What should you do in those cases? Given that you value life, it's better to unalive 10 rather than unalive 20. And then what Dean said was, all things considered, given your limitations and the way that we set up the hypothetical, it's better or good to unalive 10 people rather than 20 people. Then Brooks proceeded to say that that is nonsense.
Mhm.
All right. That did that make sense to you when Brooke? Because that is how. Look, the thing is, as human beings, is that we're very restricted. Sometimes we're forced to do certain things, given everything that we know, given the situation. And in that case, it's good to unalive 10 people rather than 20. And I think that Brooks completely missed that point.
Well, I think I don't remember that point in particular, but I know that for me, I'd say that that was ambiguous. I don't know exactly all the conditions or the details. Who were the 10 people over the 20 people? Just depends on what was happening in the circumstances. So I don't know that he adequately responded to everything. I think that's why he attempted to shift the focus from that onto an argument, maybe concerning the resurrection. But the conversation was so broad that you couldn't really focus on one particular thing. And that's why. Okay, the conversation should have been moderated better. And
Okay,
I'm going to
so
keep
Brojo,
pressing that way.
you're done now because you weren't able to actually critique anything that was shared, like as far as
Well, I mean,
the
I
actual
can
information of the
your debate
debate.
performance
I
because you showed me
specifically
flaws.
asked you, one second, I specifically asked you what point was flawed. You tried to say something. You tried to say a point was flawed. Danny addresses how you were wrong, and then you just go right back to critiquing the moderation performance of Parker. Mike, how we doing?
Hey, sorry, I was like eating dinner, so I didn't want to be chewing and not on mute. 2 points that I had with the debate. First of all, I don't think really anyone won because just the way the debate went. I don't think there was really any conclusion reached on anything. The two things that like, because I've debated Eugene before on these points, and like, admittedly, I'm like, I don't really know what's going on either, and I had to go home and kind of like think about it. So the 2 points that I have that I think where Theus Brooks kind of got tied up and where I would hold issue with your argument is number one, the all things considered piece actually is really confusing. And the way I see it, and the way I now understand it, now that I've had time to think about it, is like, let's take your vaccine example. I actually really like that one. Because you would run the argument as there's pain with the vaccine, but all things considered, that pain is good because it leads to a greater outcome, right?
Yeah, you understand something that Brooks never understood.
Yeah. But what I'm saying, so my problem with that is that I actually wouldn't say that all things considered that pain is good. I would say that all things considered the outcome is good, but that pain is still bad. And I think the way that the argument
Why is
was
it bad?
worded, sorry?
Why is it bad?
Well, because pain is bad. Like, and in that situation. So here's what I'm saying. So if you could get a vaccine with no pain, that would obviously be ideal.
Do you think that
So
God actualizes the best possible world?
yeah, that's a difficult conversation, and I don't want to debate. I just wanted to get into the conversation about like the issues that I had with the actual argument. So does he actualize the best possible world? I think there are. I don't know that there's like, if you think about possibilities, I don't know that there's necessarily like best. I think there's different.
Wait, let me ask it this way. Let me just ask it this way.
Sure.
Wait,
Could
I
God-
have to go. I have to go eat with my wife. Good job, Dean. Y'all have fun. Thanks for having me for the few minutes I was here.
You're awesome, Danny.
Peace out,
Thanks, y'all.
Danny.
Thanks, Danny.
Bye.
Let me ask you this way, Mike. Could God have actualized a world where we like reap the benefits of all the evil, like whether you say it's like the greater good or whatever? Could God have actualized a world that included all those benefits but didn't include like the evil that got those benefits?
I have an issue with the word could, because I mean, could he? Yes, but then there's also the issue of free will, which is a whole other debate.
So
Like, do you know what I'm
so
saying?
he could have actualized a world where he yielded all the great benefits, right? Such as the greater good being achieved, the maximal amount of goodness being achieved,
Right, but-
without all the evilness and suffering. So this
But what I'm
means that all
saying-
the evilness and suffering is unnecessary.
No,
and
no, no,
God
no.
simply permitted it because he desired it.
No. What I'm saying is I don't like the word could, because I mean, if we think about logical possibilities, like could he, like in all his power, maybe, but at the same time, he does value free will. And so could he actually, if it meant limiting the free will of humanity, then no, I don't think he could. Like that's what I'm saying. That's why I held an issue with like the could he.
He couldn't actualize a world in which we reap the great benefits of like evil occurring without the evil occurring. You'd say he couldn't do that, right? Because it'd forsake, either the greater good or free will or something along those lines, right? And what this demonstrates to us, right? What this specifically demonstrates is that we would live in the best possible version of reality. And what was your problem with the argument?
My problem with the argument is the way you were defining all things considered, is because it was trying to trap Brooks into saying, all things considered, this bad thing is good. When in reality,
Given all the facts, given the fact that we live in the best possible version of reality, given the fact that all the events in which occur would yield the greatest amount of good in the end, and like given your fact that you think this is just God upholding and respecting free will, these actions should occur. Right? The Holocaust should have occurred. Because guess what, Mike? If the Holocaust didn't occur, we would no longer be living in this version of reality. Okay?
But see, I take issue with that.
Well,
so
what do you take issue with?
Because you say that anything different than what it could be because we're in the best possible world. I think there are worlds that can be different. It's not necessarily that they're better or not, because God respects our free will. So if we choose to make choices that are different and lead to a world that didn't have Holocaust, let's say, I wouldn't say that it's, like, because God respects our free will, he works the bad for the good. And so it's just different. So
what I was trying to clarify there is that if you'd say God is good and doesn't operate from any of these normative rules, then God could just stop all hell evil tomorrow.
Sorry, I didn't hear what you said because Parker cut you off.
It's a big moment for me, Parker. I'm here.
Yeah,
I'm ready.
Well,
I'm ready.
So, Mike, if God doesn't operate by any of these rules, then there's nothing wrong in God stomping all of the evil out tomorrow, because there's no rule that says he shouldn't do that for reason X, Y, or Z, such as free will, the greater good, etc.
So you have to say that God is committed to these should claims, right? And if God is
Okay.
committed to these should claims, then God should have allowed the Holocaust to occur, right? The Holocaust should have occurred. But that's
Okay, yeah,
about
I can grant you that with the
yeah.
should statement. Okay.
And that was the point. You granted the should statement. That's what Brooks was trying not to grant. So you disagree with Brooks in this regard.
I guess so, because the way I see it is when you say God should have allowed it, that in my mind, I'm interpreting that he should allow free will. He should allow people to make decisions that
And all that means is that
affect
he
things
shouldn't
for
have
good or bad.
prevented it. He shouldn't have
Chat, I
prevented
was
it.
scrolling on
So
my
in other
For You
words,
page,
we would
and I saw Shark like literally streaming this, and I added him. I'm like, why is this guy literally like sweating on live, bro?
making a mistake if he prevented the Holocaust. So do you think that God made a mistake when he prevented the Amalekites growing and spreading? And when he genocided them in 1 Samuel 15:3?
At this, again, it's the whole thing that God is not trying to kind of like force a future or force humanity to go down a certain course.
What did he do in
You know
1
what I
Samuel
mean?
15:3?
That was something that he commanded the Israelites to do.
Was he
Whether or
infringing
not they
upon
did
their
that
free
was up
will?
to them. No, because he didn't actually. He commanded them to do that, right? And at the
Oh
same
wait,
time,
why didn't he command people to not do the Holocaust? Well, it's because he obviously thought that the Holocaust
well,
was
he
permittable. If he thought that the Holocaust was impermissible, just like he thought that the existence of the Amalekite people was impermissible, he just simply would have commanded others to stop it.
yeah, I mean, I don't want to go again. I want to stick on the whole
Yeah, it's
debate
fine.
thing, but
It's
no,
fine.
I'll just give you my 2 cents on it because I'm not prepared to like hash it out right now. But at the same, my interpretation of the Old Testament is that the Old Testament functioned like objectively differently than the way we exist right now. So, for example, if the Israelites were God's chosen people and everybody else, so when we read the Old Testament, we're reading it through the lens of Israel, and so you can't make that comparison because in today's lens through the Christian worldview, we are all God's people, whereas in the Old Testament it was Israel.
Yeah, sure. Well, did you have anything else that you wanted to say, specifically about the debate?
Yeah. So I took issue first of all with the whole all things considered point, just
know why
because
you
I
would.
think, well, like I said, all things considered, an outcome can be good or bad, but it doesn't make the bad in that. Like Danny was mentioning, like a pro and con list to kind of drive the point home, and I actually really like that. So you can have like, here are all the pros, here are the cons, and all things considered, this is a positive decision. It doesn't make the cons good, but overall the situation. So you would never say, yes, that con is overall a good. That con is still bad, but
Well,
overall the decision is good. You know what I mean? Like that's the
well, do you
distinction that I think was
here's
muddling
the
the
question.
conversation.
Here's the question. Did God desire those cons to reap the good?
No.
So he didn't desire the cons, so why did he allow the cons?
Because we have free will and we mess up all the time and we do evil, crappy things.
But see, this just goes back right into the debate I was having with you. So I guess in order for you to be able to provide your critiques, like we'd have to like debate, but maybe like Parker has a different take.
Please, can
Parker's muted. He maybe ran away for a bit.
I'm not muted.
Oh, there he is.
Go ahead.
Please, okay. Parker, your moderation skills were equivalent to flat earthers talking about science. Oh my god, brother. You moderating was the worst part of the debate.
Hold on. Parker,
Okay.
how many times have you moderated?
Only a few times.
Yeah, so I think all things considered, you did a decent job because you're not experienced in it and you did what you could.
Yeah,
Wait,
like
So I'll
wait,
give you
wait,
that.
Shark. I
This
want to know
this
like
was
what
promoted
specifically.
as like one of the biggest. Like you didn't like interject. Number one, it should have been
Wait,
time
that would have been a
oriented.
biased
So-
interjection then.
Huh? No, there should have
Yes.
been. There should
If
have
I'm
been time slot.
interjecting, then I would bring in bias.
Wait, no. You can interject right fairly, and so you could do this
What?
by allowing Dean to have. Yeah. So
How
like
do I
somebody-
determine that if I
Can
already have
I-
a bias preceding convo?
Okay.
Can
so
I say
then-
one more thing, then I'll drop?
Yeah, there you go, man.
Can I just say one more thing, then I'll drop? The only other issue that I had with the debate, Dean, was the fact that you granted the resurrection so that you can move back to your original point. I think that was disingenuous. I mean, I think
Wait,
it worked well for your argument, but it would because you don't actually believe that Jesus resurrected, but you granted that premise. I think it would have been more fruitful to actually debate it from what you believed, but I understand why you did that. I think it helped your argument. I just think it was disingenuous.
Wait, we
Just-
actually
No,
said that we would have had time for it, but he didn't want to go through it with the time. I
Yeah,
also
yeah,
didn't
no,
know
I
that
understand.
it was only 2 hours.
Point of a debate, Mike.
The point of a debate
Yeah.
is to hash out between two people all the issues between a point that they disagree on and hopefully come to a conclusion or at least a better understanding.
Awesome. So here's my thing. What is more effective in me in hopefully getting Theus Brooks to adopt my worldview? Not granting resurrection and not granting the existence of the Christian God, which are both things he believes in, or granting resurrection and not granting the existence of the Christian God.
Oh yeah,
Which
no,
are very rare those things he believes.
I completely see why you did it. I just think it was disingenuous because that was a point that he wanted to argue. And you skillfully, I'll add, but you skillfully kind of skirted around it to go back to your original point.
Wait, I rejected the conclusion of his 10 premise argument by rejecting a premise.
Yeah, but you agreed with a premise that you don't actually agree with.
I granted it. Maybe like
Wait, are you just saying you can't engage
I'm
in internal
confused.
critiques then because you have to grant the perspective for the argument?
I'm just saying that I know that was one of the main things that he wanted to debate, and rather than
Wait,
debate
no, I'm
that,
asking like, do you think that internal critiques are disingenuous?
not necessarily.
Okay, but you have to grant their position to be able to see whether or not there's like an issue with it, right?
That's fair. But even
But
still,
like, you're not granting it as your own view, and I don't.
no,
think
but even
that's
still,
disingenuous.
what Dean did is he granted premise 8, rejected premise 9, but then rejected it not based on any of the other premises. He went back to the whole problem of evil argument.
Wait, no, that's not why he. What? He didn't.
Is that not what?
Didn't. Wait, so Dean, just clear.
Like
clarify
I don't
your
have the
rejection
I don't have the
of
premises
the
in front of me. The
premise.
premise 9 was
Hey, yo, what were we
because
debating
Jesus resurrected.
about? What were we debating about?
That's the question I wanted to ask. What was the actual topic of the debate?
Yeah,
Does
it's the
the Christian
existence
God
of the Christian
exist?
God.
And if the Christian God, right, can't exist, meanwhile the resurrection could have occurred, I could grant that shit. It's relevant to the topic.
So basically, you can grant that the resurrection that he wanted to debate, and rather than
Wait,
debate
no, I'm
that,
asking like, do you think that internal critiques are disingenuous?
not necessarily.
Okay, but you have to grant their position to be able to see whether or not there's like an issue with it, right?
That's fair. But even
But
still,
like, you're not granting it as your own view, and I don't.
no,
think
but even
that's
still,
disingenuous.
what Dean did is he granted premise 8, rejected premise 9, but then rejected it not based on any of the other premises. He went back to the whole problem of evil argument.
Wait, no, that's not why he. What? He didn't.
Is that not what?
Didn't. Wait, so Dean, just clear.
Like
clarify
I don't
your
have the
rejection
I don't have the premises
of the
in front of me. The
premise.
premise 9 was
Hey, yo, what were we
because
debating
Jesus resurrected.
about? What were we debating about?
That's the question I wanted to ask. What was the actual topic of the debate?
Yeah,
Does
it's the
the Christian
existence
God
of the Christian
exist?
God.
And if the Christian God, right, can't exist, meanwhile the resurrection could have occurred, I could grant that shit. It's relevant to the topic.
So basically, you can grant that the resurrection occurred and go, well, I have no idea why it happened. Well, I don't know what happened. I don't know why it occurred, but it wasn't the Christian God. And that's basically why you rejected premise 9. And then you're saying it's not the Christian God because cycle back to my original argument.
I mean, listen, Mike. I could have went over how I think that the minimal facts theory for the proof of the resurrection is flawed due to the fact that we don't have any substantial evidence indicating that Jesus was buried in a tomb, right? Because the only narrative that we'd have depicting such is from the gospel, and on top of that, it was more likely than not that victims of crucifixion were to be buried in mass graves or were left on the cross to decompose. And then on top of that, historically speaking, we have no reason to believe that Pontius Pilate would feel any different about Jesus Christ. And then on top of that, if you were to accept that fourth fact that Jesus was buried in the tomb, this would just be you accepting this gospel. So in other words, if the gospel's true, if Jesus was buried in a tomb, then the gospel's true. Jesus is the Son of God.
And then on top of that, the other three facts that stand, Jesus teaching ethics, people following him, and then people dying for him, or sorry, people claiming that he resurrected, could be said about Emperor Nero, could be of Rome, could be said about the first emperor of Rome, Romulus, could be said about Apollonia. I mean,
Yeah, and I guess I'm just
those are the reasons why I don't believe in resurrection. But like the point is
but
it doesn't even
what I'm
require to go through
saying,
those.
what I'm saying is I feel like that would have been such an awesome debate to have with Theus Brooks, and I just regret that it was 2 hours of that
The
the
problem
other
is
piece.
that it's
But
off topic, though. The problem is off topic is that that is a debate about whether or not the resurrection happened, not about whether or not the that this God exists. All of the premises going forward really were about whether or not the Jesus was raised from the dead, and
no,
that's what
that's fair, Matt. Yeah.
I mean, and that's the problem is I think Dean can also make this point is that we settled on the question, does the Christian God exist, not whether the Jesus was raised from the dead. Like that's a separate question. And so when you look at all 10 premises, really what Brooks was trying to debate was whether or not Jesus was raised from the dead and whether or not he can prove that this was God that did it.
Right.
Yeah,
And then also
I guess
I just want to like be virtuous here. I agree. Our discussion could have been so much better for everyone listening. We would have been able to go over resurrection. We would have been able to go over my other arguments why I don't think a God exists, such as the problem of perfection, such as my take on the evidentiary problem of evil, and all of these other issues if Brooks could have meaningfully engaged with my logical problem of evil. But that's something he didn't do. And he didn't do that, so we didn't get to have any of the more fruitful discussion. And Brooks supporters might say, Dean was circling, Dean wouldn't move on. I wouldn't move on because we had no good reason to move on. Brooks couldn't provide a good objection to my argument. So
No,
the
I
only other
actually
reason that was good for us to move on was him conceding. But because he didn't provide a good objection to my argument, and he didn't concede the position, there was no reason to move on.
Yeah, I mean, I think Matt, you brought up a really good point. I didn't even think that because I mean, it's my own bias too because I'm a Christian, and the resurrection of Jesus is pretty central to, in my opinion, to God being real, and that's probably what Theus Brooks is thinking as well. But you're right, it wasn't supposed to be a debate on the resurrection; it was supposed to be a debate.
Well, again,
so
Dean.
that makes sense to me.
Well, see, and that's the thing, though. Dean could just argue
Yeah, I
that
can
it
see
was
that.
aliens. It was aliens that raised Jesus.
Yeah, so
and
that
then
was,
and now
Jesus-
we have to argue about aliens. Or no, I mean there are many facets that can be leveled about whether proving or disproving the Christian God, and a resurrection is one of many. And Brooks wanted to focus only on resurrection. And I think that's because when we were first trying to negotiate about this, Brooks wanted to debate that central topic, like that topic specifically. And we settled not on that topic. We settled on a very broad topic, and that's kind of how it went about. And so I think
see.
I think that's the issue here, is that he wanted to go to resurrection and argue about very specific historical narratives and things like that. And that is a fun argument. I very much agree, but that is not the argument that we decided to actually talk about, right? Because that's an argument that can go from many different angles. That's
Well,
the point.
it could just be that that's what he's comfortable with, and then this whole logical argument of evil. I mean, what I sense is that he was scared of getting trapped through the language that Dean was using, and that's probably why it ended up being super circular and why he was unwilling to concede to anything or agree on anything. But yeah, I don't have anything else to add, so I'm going to drop because I'm sure you got lots of other people that want to give their 2 cents.
Thanks, man. I'll be quick. All right, I wrote all this down. Okay, I'm
Hey, critique the debate, not
Yeah.
like the etiquette, not
That's fine.
Parker's
Yeah, that's fine.
moderation.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Okay, so stop me whenever you want. So the priority is going to be, does the Christian God exist? I think that the topic should have been far more clear, especially if you only had 2 hours, right? If you want to do the problem of evil, that's fine. If you want to do the resurrection, that's fine. Because like I had like 500 Christians in my live saying that Jesus resurrected gave them more validation in what they believe. Like for them, that's all they need. That's literally it for them. Anybody who believes Jesus resurrected on the third day is proof that he is God.
Wait, he wasn't saying that he believes that, right?
Yeah,
That's your
that's
misunderstanding.
disingenuous
He was
as
granting
fuck.
of the argument, like an internal critique.
Yeah.
Which
Sure.
you
Brooks
grant specific things
understood.
for the argument. We could.
Yeah,
we,
Brooks
I said,
understood
and
exactly what was
I
happening.
explicitly referenced that we could have further conversation about this, and that I didn't know that it was only going to be 2 hours. So I thought it was going to be 4 hours. I thought we were just getting to the halfway point, and I thought we were going to be able to reference the second question. I thought the main questions were resurrection, which what Brooks brought up, and evil, right? The problem of evil is what Dean brought up. These are the main topics that they brought up originally.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, right? So, like, hopefully, maybe you could run it back. You can ask him again. Maybe the second half can be specifically about the resurrection. I don't know if Dean's open to that. The critique that I have of Brooks is he was a coward or simply too incompetent to define the word evil, right? And this is where it just became semantical rhetoric for what, an hour and a half, longer than that. And this is why whenever I debate people, it is necessary for us to agree on what definition we are using moving forward, right? Or else it turns into that. And I think that Brooks absolutely failed. And the only person who is defining what good, bad, and evil is Dean, right? Now, I do think that Dean was hypocritical because he said that he wouldn't allow Brooks to just accept the free will in heaven for the sake of the conversation. He wanted Brooks' actual position.
Okay, so that's not hypocritical for two reasons.
Hey, Anonymous, I didn't say that he did 2 hours, maybe more. That was a message between Dean and Brooks, which I never heard about. I expected 3-4 hours, which is what I originally said to Dean, and which is actually the amount of time that I've done on previous debates before in the past. Okay, so I that was the expectation that I had.
By making the assertion that he would grant that there isn't. Because that is me effectively changing and that is him conceding and me changing his worldview. Because he recognized that if they do have free will in heaven, that he is an issue. So that's just automatically a Dean W on that specific point. But where the difference lies is if I accepted resurrection, I don't have an issue.
Why?
And if I rejected resurrection, I don't have an issue.
Well, Shark,
Why
if
do you not have an issue
because-
if you accept the resurrection?
Because it's still improbable, or in my case, what I was trying to show, it would be impossible for that to be caused by the Christian God.
Why?
Why?
That would run into
Because
the problem of
the Christian God couldn't exist due to the logical problem of evil in which I shared. God would only allow things in which all things considered shouldn't occur, yet Christians, at least Brooks, thinks there's things that all things considered shouldn't occur. That is the explicit contradiction.
Okay, but how would he resurrect then?
How would he resurrect?
Wait, that could be
Posit
aliens.
anything that's logically
Yeah,
possible.
It could be aliens. Why
Do you
not?
believe in
Yeah,
aliens?
posit.
Wait, no, I'm not saying I
literally
believe in
anything that's
aliens. We're just
logically
saying what's
possible.
logically possible. Because you saying it's logically possible to be a god, right? The Christian God, right? That doesn't dispute anything. Even if we were to go to the evidentiary problem of evil and we were to say it's improbable the Christian God exists, just saying it's possible is the same as the aliens' view.
But I'm asking for your worldview.
My worldview? Do I think?
Yeah,
it's...
I'm not looking to talk to like Good Trouble about his imaginary unicorn in his backyard, Sarah. Right? I'm asking for a genuine conversation about what you organically and genuinely believe to be true.
Yeah, I don't believe it to be true. The resurrection.
Okay, so you don't believe it, Dean. Do you believe that it's organically true?
Nope.
so you don't.
I've gone over my
No,
reasons.
we're
why
just
as well.
saying we don't believe in it, but even if it was true, it still doesn't posit an issue. I don't know why that's so hard for you to understand or get through your brain.
Well, I just think that the problem exists for both of them. I think that Brooks struggling with the problem of evil is bad for him. And I think that Dean accepting the resurrection of Jesus Christ is bad for him. I think that two things can be true simultaneously. Is that not fair? Like in this conversation, I'm prioritizing philosophical
Wait, but the thing
honesty,
is, but the thing
right?
is,
I want the
if you-
chat to benefit from this, right? There's if doubt determines truth, then we are obligated to doubt everything that we are saying, including myself, right? To think that anybody won this debate besides the TikTok CEOs because they took 50% of all gifts that were sent is silly.
What? Wait, you understand that we can have productive dialogue, and I think that there was some level of productive dialogue from
What was
this. Do I
productive
think
about
that
this? Just debating about what the definition
getting
of evil was.
getting people involved in conversations about this just on the basis of it is productive. What I think is productive is getting people to understand there are problems with Christianity, right? There are even problems with how people portray problems of evil or issues against Christianity as well. So I do think that there's something productive gained from this. For you to claim that there's only a gain on behalf of TikTok, I do think is a bit ridiculous.
Wait,
So
I don't know
you're
what
just
you mean by
wait. So then, would you just dispute any type of like disagreement or engagement, or is it this type of disagreement or engagement?
Well, I think for this level of how it was promoted with nearly 8,000 people from what I saw at one point, yeah, this definitely didn't meet the mark.
Wait, what do you mean?
I'd
meet the
agree with
mark?
that. I'd agree with that. I'd absolutely agree with Shark there, but not for anything I did wrong. Absolutely for all the reasons that Brooke did so many things wrong.
Well, okay,
I
okay.
think Brooks
But
made it
could it
so
have been
hard to
could
listen
it have
to.
been possible in hindsight for you to recognize that Brooks was simply incapable of defining the word evil? And then moving on beyond that. What was it possible?
Wait,
I
wait.
think
If
it's
we
more than
moved
just
on, that
defining
would
the
mean
term evil. Like
It-
there
wait,
was
if
there was
he
a
mo-
few things.
Wait, you understand that if we were to move on, that would either mean that Brooks defeated the argument or Brooks conceded. Any other reason to move on would not be a good one. Will you agree to that?
One more time?
No.
I don't know.
There
what
were
I'm- I don't know
only
what I'm agreeing to.
there were only two good reasons to move on. The first good reason to move on is because Brooks conceded his position. The second good reason to
To your
move on.
definition? Wait, to accepting your definition?
Wait.
Or just accepting the problem of evil exists within the Christian worldview?
Yeah, that I mean, his concession could have just been that all things considered, anything in which has and will happen, like should have occurred.
I don't think,
That
but
would
okay,
have been
how does that, do you think that that defeats Christianity? Because if he just accepts all things considered, good is going to be the objective framework of God, and that badness is just a subjective illusion of agency. Do you think that that defeats Christianity?
Yes.
Why?
Isn't Satan bad?
Huh?
Isn't Satan bad?
Well, Satan can be like subjectively bad.
Wait, no, not subjectively
if-
bad. Is Satan objectively bad under the Christian worldview?
Is Satan would be the standard of anything and everything against God.
Wait,
so doesn't
are
that have
things
to be
that make
bad?
God bad?
Yeah, so if the standard is, are things that are necessary good or bad, I don't have an answer for you. And I think that that was the word that was missing. And maybe I missed it because I didn't listen to the whole thing. Was the word necessary ever used?
Yes,
All I'm
plenty of
asking you
times.
here-
Actually, he conceded that
It was
all evil
used
that
20
exists is
million
stop
times.
talking. Right? He was explaining. So I don't mean to say stop talking. I apologize. That was rude.
You're good, Parker. Go on.
Yeah, sorry. He was saying that all evil that exists is necessary.
All evil that exists is necessary. Did you ask him, are all necessary things good?
Yeah, he actually did ask that.
What did Brooks say?
Well, yeah, he said all of these things are good. Didn't he say
But
that?
then
Dean?
all-
I'm pretty sure, right?
I don't know.
So he said like necessary evils should occur.
Should what?
He said necessary evils should occur, and the only evil that exists is necessary.
Yeah, but he did get muddied on, like, the conversation did get muddied on necessary, right? Like, because he was pointing out that, like, look, bad things, right, that are necessarily bad. Maybe this is what he was meaning, right? And maybe it didn't get across to both of you, or maybe you didn't get across to him, whatever the reason, right? But he said bad things can occur, and they can eventually pour out good outcomes. Like, God can allow bad things to happen because of future good outcomes. Like, for instance, he didn't use this, which is weird. The crucifixion of Jesus, right? It was a bad thing to kill somebody and crucify somebody, but obviously it opens up heaven's gates and all this stuff.
Why was it bad?
Yeah, no, if it's
To kill
necessary,
somebody?
if it's necessary, then it's automatically good. This is what Dean's trying to say.
Yeah, but I don't.
Like,
I
are
don't know
all
how- I don't know
necessary
how
things
often you were
good?
there.
Wait, like no. That's not even what I'm saying here. Why was it bad, Scott?
To kill somebody?
Socrates.
Did God desire Jesus to be killed?
Did God?
I feel so bad for telling Scott to stop talking. Like I thought it was Shark talking, because he was cutting me off. So I feel so bad.
Is that he desires to do?
I don't think the crucifixion was a necessary act. Yeah.
So you think that crucifixion was unnecessary? So he could have yielded the.
It could have been
goodness-
something else. Yeah. It could have been. It could have played out in a million different ways.
Wait, I want to ask this question.
Even though God knew that it was going to happen. Go on.
Yeah. So like, does God only do things that He desires to do?
God only do things that he desires to do? That it follows along with his will as well, right? Yeah.
Yeah, does God only will
Like
things that he desires to will?
if it doesn't contradict his will, right? So like for instance, I know this might be a little off topic, and I think it is. But a couple of months ago, maybe you were asking about how could divine freedom be real, and some people are even mentioning this in the chat. How can divine freedom be real, and creation be an act of freedom, right? Like either it's a good thing or it's a bad thing for God. Because Christians usually say that it's. I don't know if I'm yapping yet, but Christians usually say,
You are.
"My bad, my bad."
I'm following you, Scott.
Okay. Christians usually say, and I will say this, that creation was not necessary, right? He created us out of his own love, so that we may be aimed towards his love, and it's only for the betterment of us, right? God does not gain anything from us being in heaven or from this extra love because he's perfectly simple always, right? Under my view, or under Brooks' view, or normal Christians, right? I think that's similar to what you're getting at, right? Like Jesus being crucified, it could have happened some other ways. So if you're meaning necessary in some modal terms, right? Like was it necessary to always happen? I don't think so. Was he always going to be sacrificed in some way, prophesized?
I don't mean to cut him off, chat. I also just want to acknowledge the chat. I also do think that I should have moved on the conversation. I agree. I definitely tried to, but I probably should have like stuck my feet into the ground a little more. Like, I'm not going to dispute that, but like, yeah. So I definitely would say that.
It wasn't necessary that the crucifixion happened.
Oh, I think.
Does that make sense?
Well,
Does that make sense?
wait, does God necessarily do the good? Or you're just saying that there's like other things good that God could have done besides creating?
Well, creation was not a good thing for him. Like it was just a thing, right?
Oh, okay.
You know
yeah,
what I mean? Like
yeah, so like him existing alone is identical
it's
to
just
him
free
existing
will.
with
Yeah.
creation.
He was
agents of
perfectly
goodness.
simple. He was perfectly good alone. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't think that free will necessitates like evil though.
What do you mean? I don't think so either. And Brooks actually said that wasn't true either. So
Yeah,
I don't
so
know.
like you could have free will and only do good things.
Yeah.
God could have created a world in which we all have free will but only do good
Yeah,
things.
but you would know.
Identity.
So the weird. Yeah. So he created us to be stewards originally, right?
What?
Dude, this is why Genesis talk is like so important. But I don't know how well versed you are still in Genesis. I don't know how well versed you actually were.
I'm decently like educated. But what I'm
Genocide.
saying here is God could have created like Adam and Eve to not possess the
No, he
ability to
couldn't,
sin.
because then they would have to automatically be in the beatific vision. That's the biggest thing. Like,
Oh, I'm not familiar with whatever you just said.
the beatific vision. You were
No
Catholic. Yeah,
clue
you
what
are.
that
You're a
is.
liar. You're a liar. No.
When I was Catholic, I was like a 16-year-old kid that didn't know shit but went to church
fair.
on
No.
Sunday.
Okay, yeah. So like for instance, I don't know if you remember in the Catholic worldview, you have to go through purgatory, right? Because you have to be
Yeah.
clean to enter into heaven. Right. Clean meaning that like you cannot bring sin into heaven because that's not possible. So you cannot sin.
Is he Catholic?
I don't know, but you don't have to
I don't
believe in
think.
purgatory to believe what I'm saying.
Okay.
And Brooks never says. He's in a Discord with me. I'm pretty sure I know his view, but I don't know if that matters. Most
Dean,
people.
you didn't ask him for his denomination, Dean?
Yeah, well, it doesn't matter. I mean, glory to God.
I don't think it's relevant, like regardless of his denomination. I don't even like ask denominations because I just want to hear what they believe in. Like I don't want to like prescribe.
Well, I'm
them
Catholic and I believe
of
whatever the
God.
Catholic Church says.
His denomination absolutely matters. This dude Scott as a Catholic has to follow the teachings of the Catholic Church.
That is true. No, that is
Well,
true.
I mean, like if I was debating,
Dean's meaning
if I
like
was
if he's
debating
talking to
Brooks,
somebody.
yeah, if I was debating Brooks and he was Catholic, sure, he has to follow the teachings of
But
the
if he
Catholic
doesn't
Church.
say that, then who knows, right?
But like those beliefs would have come up in discussion. Hey Scott, I just had a question for you. All things considered, at the end of the day, do you think that Brooks offered valid rebuttals of my position?
You're gonna hate this. Okay, I know I'm biased, right? I'll say this up front. I know I'm biased. I think you did a really poorly job. Whether the debate was a good debate or not, I don't think it was.
Scott,
dude, hey man, I'll agree. I did a poor job in the sense that I should have just been like, you didn't give me a sufficient explanation.
I think
Let's
he
move
did
on.
better. No, I think he did better.
So you do think that he offered like a valid critique?
I think
of my
he
position?
yeah, I think when you didn't posit the question originally, right? And I was in the Discord chat.
Could you tell me what his valid critique is?
Well, okay, so this is what I'm saying. All right. So you asked a different question once you guys got to the point of when Brooks asked you what was your contention to the resurrection argument, which I think was a valid point. I think you pivoted.
Yeah, and actually, chat, I said this exact point literally like right after the debate. I think that Dean should have acknowledged it, right, and then moved on and then addressed other points. I think that would have been the most rhetorically effective. I do think that he went too much on the one point, although I do think that Brooks was not answering it, right? I disagree with Scott here.
Bad debate for you because rhetorically he should have just said like, look, problem of evil, if this is an evidential argument, right? Right, then you can use this as like against premise 9, because I'm pretty sure premise 9 is the one where he talks about like this gives very good evidence for.
Are you able to tell me the valid
Christian
critique
God.
that he posited of my argument?
Yeah. So I'm getting there. Okay, so that conversation only happened on the YouTube live. During the TikTok live, right, when you were talking about evil, he's mentioned that like, look, I think we're getting crossed on because you didn't bring up the obligation or the potential talk yet. But you brought up that like, look, you were talking about necessary. He was like, look, I'm not using necessary in this way. You guys started talking past each other, and then he asked you to move on. You said yes. This whether you think this is a point in the argument
Can
or
you tell me
rhetoric.
like what his valid critique was of my
Yeah,
position?
this is what I'm saying. If he says, look, you cannot get past this, right? Like you're not making sense to me. That is an argument. I don't know how to break it to you. That
Wait,
is an argument.
that's not an argument.
It
Brooks
is an
now
argument.
has-
Look,
no.
it's a
Scott, if you
Morian
use a
cha-
word, Scott, if you use a word, so like we
Because
can do
you
like
interrupted me.
Scott, yeah, hang on,
Go
yeah,
ahead,
I'll
go
explain
ahead,
it
my
to you, right? So in abortion debates, people use the word consciousness regularly, but they're not actually talking about like a spirit or an immaterial substance. They're talking about sentience or a conglomerate of sentience and sapience, right? So that's what they need to prioritize because they're not talking about an immaterial thing. So by me creating a symmetry breaker between these two words, I've created more coherency in my
Wait.
language schema.
What?
Can I just ignore that?
Yeah,
Sorry,
dude. What?
I want to
no,
respond. I want to respond directly to Scott. So
I'm lost on that. But go ahead.
he beat me in a debate because he said that he didn't understand my argument.
I don't know if that's an actual crazy thing. So let me give an example, okay? When let's say we're talking about abortion, and I go, well, look, the fetus has this thing called consciousness, right? And consciousness is morally valuable. And then you go, well, what is consciousness? And I explain it in some side conversation, somewhat by analogy, not really getting to like any defined thing. And I'm not really defining you down, and you're not really defining me down. And then you go, look, I don't know what consciousness is. Can we move on? And can we actually tackle, like, can you give me an argument against a premise? That is a valid critique of what you were giving. Whether it's like a Morian shift, like you just shifted away from it. It's like, look, I don't know what you're saying.
The LPOE was a counter argument against premise 9.
Yeah, that's what. Okay. This is what I was mentioning. That conversation really only happened in the YouTube, right? When the YouTube live happened. This is why I'm saying like, wait, that's when you started asking good questions of like, hey, can you give me a
man?
point?
You can chill, bro. It's okay.
I'm super chill, man. I just don't.
You're not.
I just don't like inconsistent conversations where people don't value the semantics of a conversation in order to move forward. And I respect that nobody nobody wants me. I won't. Well, yeah, I'm yelling on my live, but I'm not yelling in here. I'm respecting your space, right?
No, I get it. But I was just like, I'm not saying you weren't
I'll say
respecting
this.
my
I think
space.
it was
I
weird
just
to
like,
say.
I
think it was weird to say ignore that. No, that's fine. I'm just having fun, right? Like, I think it's weird to say ignore that and then talk about it.
Okay, wait, no, sure, wait, no, you can address that. Go for it. That's
Yeah.
that's
So
fine. Like,
I broke down.
I was just making sure that you weren't like actually angry.
Yeah, no, No, I'm not actually. I'm just loud, bro. Like even when
No,
I
no, no.
whisper, I'm loud,
If you're
bro.
like that, that makes sense to me. I was just making sure because
Oh yeah, no, I'm
I
solid,
don't
bro.
have enough experience with you to be able to know.
Yeah,
So
no,
I
it's
just
all
judge
love.
based
No,
on
no,
what's
it's
most
all
likely.
even. Parker. Even when I come in here and like if I say you debate crossing guards or like I think that you did a bad job moderating, bro, it's just entertainment with like being blunt and sincere and just trying to like tell you what's happening. You know what I mean? Like all love aside, bro. This is
I
just
respect
TikTok.
that. I respect
You know what I
that.
mean? It's just TikTok, bro. I just want to have genuinely productive conversations and grow until we die. That's it, bro.
Listen,
I really
here's
respect
what
that.
here's what I want to say, Scott. I don't
Yeah, go ahead.
understand how you could say that I lost the debate when he couldn't like rebuttal like anything that I was saying. And I get what you mean. One second. I get what you mean in the sense that like maybe there were some things that he didn't understand, but I don't think that's true.
Dean,
Because
if
he
I
was
didn't
once. Can I
understand you,
finish? Can I finish?
okay, yeah, sure, my bad.
Because he was trying to refute my argument. He said he didn't get this normative notion of good that I was outlining, and there could be some exceptions to it. And then I asked him to justify that with further argumentation that he couldn't give. Well,
No,
I think
dude.
that him, quote unquote, not understanding the argument was completely
No.
unfounded because he didn't do so on the
If
basis
you
of any legitimate rebuttal.
Okay, Dean, hang on. All right. You misspoke countless times. This is true. You said random things about epistemic art. I bet I can get clips about them. They're weird. They're weird things. I know that they were like just genuine mistakes, right? You were lost in half the conversation, or at least maybe you weren't lost. The audience was lost. I'm biased outside. I was lost on the normative talk, right? Because I don't think both of you were prepared for the conversation that what does evil mean here, and could God allow some evil
Here.
under some random definition of what does evil even exist? Like,
Here's what I was saying. So,
go
in
ahead.
this
Yeah.
normative moral sense, right? In this normative moral.
Yo, I'm watching Shark right now. This shit's so funny. I'm not gonna lie, bro. Like me stream sniping them is so fun.
Ignore the epistemic shoulds.
But you're getting away.
Ignore it all. That is all that is relevant to my version of the LPOE.
Yes, but the problem with that conversation is the normative talk is getting away from the meta ethics of divine command theory, however you feel about that, or modified divine command theory, right? Because they're going to see that evil for humans and human goodness is actually totally different than God, because God has the simple foreknowledge or Molinism under, he said Molinism, right? We can just assume that that's the view. Under Molinism, God knows all knowledge and thus knows what would actually be more morally valuable. That's all he said. He said it in a really bad way, right? But then you guys just started talking past each other, and then you guys couldn't give points on where it actually mattered. You got him a decent bit at the third, right? At the YouTube part, but then it was too late. It was too late. And it was too late because he said, let's move on. You said, okay. Whether you meant it, I understand. Maybe you wanted to hold him to the grill. That's fine. But after another hour, I'm tired of it. I think the audience is tired of it. You know, and I think you could have done decent on the resurrection. You know what I mean? Or whatever.
Look, listen. I really wish I was able to bring up my evidential problem of evil to do with starving children. I really wish that I was able to bring up my problem of perfection that I posited to Amdir. Maybe you were in there too, and you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I really.
By the way, everyone, we are going to be joining Harry's live later, so we're actually going to be co-hosting with him here in a bit. So pretty sure he goes live in like 30 minutes to an hour or something like that. So that's what we're going to be doing tonight. So do make sure to check that out. We're going to be doing this until then, but just letting y'all know.
I would have let him off the hook.
There will be more debates.
PoE was not a defeater to Christianity.
Oh, what is Sharks at? It's IWZDM or Wisdom. I'm like watching that and I'm doing this. I'm like interacting with both.
through, right? It's a non sequitur to even talk about resurrection, right? Because then it goes through. The problem is that the logical problem that you gave, even though you called it a quasi, I don't know what that means, because I thought you were giving a more evidential because of premise 9, at least at the YouTube part. During the first TikToks, it was obviously a logical problem, right? But when you gave the logical problem, right, it wasn't going through because it wasn't making sense under his worldview. And that's fine because he gave a compelling case to say, look, I don't know what you're talking about here. Evil doesn't make sense in this world. Like if I said evil is the privation of good, right? You giving me the logical problem of evil doesn't really mean anything to me. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
actually it does. So when you're talking about privation theory, all that you're
Yeah.
saying is that like it's not an actual thing. It just simply is the privation of good. That's not relevant because listen to this. If we had a
Yeah.
building with one of the floors being extremely cold for whatever reason, and we were trying to solve this problem of why it was cold, and some annoying jackass walked up and said, "Cold is just the absence of heat." Well, that doesn't
No,
tell us shit
that's
about
not
why it's
true.
cold. So
That's
very
not true.
similarly, as long as you could agree that certain actions are evil, regardless of the fact that you think that's just the privation
Yes, Harry will be live on TikTok.
exists, the LPOE applies.
No, because you're missing. Okay, the LPOE goes through during privation talk, right? But you're missing that the LPOE doesn't go through for evil regarding humans. It's about like God allowing bad things under human morality, not morality in this broad sense, right? Because the privation theory generally goes with Augustine's and Aquinas' theory of moral virtues, which moral virtues only come about from God. Like moral virtues are almost like subjective. They're just ways of eventually seeing what theodicies are getting at. So Aquinas' privation theory and Augustine's privation theory builds in theodicies, similar to the Book of Job, where the Book of Job's like, look, you don't have the knowledge. You don't have all these theodicies understood like I do because I'm God. And that's what Aquinas was hinting at, right? There's some Mysterian, like, soul building, free will, all these other things that all combine that aren't skeptical theism, which I don't know why you assumed. That didn't look good.
Because he posts about it a lot and he agreed.
I know it was like a pre-counter, but I thought that was like showing your hand way too much.
Dean, I still think you should have ran Trinity.
Dude,
Oh, don't you dare take
so
my
many things.
arguments, bro. That's
You reminded me,
There
okay,
was
Shark. I was watching
craziest-
it, and you reminded me because we actually.
Dog, you better start
Wait.
saying trademark shark, bro.
Okay,
What was
okay.
that?
Okay, Shark. Before
There were so many
before,
things that I could have
me and Danny, and Dean can attest to this. Me and Danny we're actually saying we were gonna have him run the Trinity argument. Well, because originally he was gonna debate with Exploring Reality, who's a heretic and doesn't accept the same notion of the Trinity.
Yeah,
listen.
it was just far too broad, man. You can't debate a Christian on does your God exist, right? It has to be, all right, for 1 hour, we will discuss this, X. And then for the next hour, we will discuss Y. And if we run out of time today, then it'll be a two-parter, and then we'll figure it out. And then there needs to be cross-examinations. And Dean has to be open, not only to analyze the Christian worldview, but to be scrutinized about his worldview. And if Dean spends the whole time saying, well, I'm agnostic, or if he wants to run deism, that's fine, right? Which I think that's how you get people in, especially atheists, bro. Dean, I think that you are, I say this all the time, man, I think that you are a strong philosophical debater and you should run deism more.
I'm sorry, I wasn't listening to that. I'm gonna be.
Wait, I want to say one.
Not because I didn't. No,
Dude muted after that. Come on.
no. The only reason I said that is because I was looking at something else. Repeat yourself. I'll listen.
I said that you smell, and if we went bowling together, I would beat you. 296. That's what I said.
No. Actually, repeat yourself. I was copying links for some. I was copying links for.
I said if we ever play beer pong, you wouldn't get one cup. That's what I said.
I'd get
No,
at least.
I
we
said-
gotta,
I
we gotta
said-
test that out. Okay.
I said you're a strong philosophical debater, right? And I think that it would do you more justice if you ran deism more often, and it would actually strengthen your argument against Brooks or Christians if you ran deism. Because if you can say, "Well, I'm agnostic," I
agree. The day I become a deist, possibly the day I become a deist, is the day that my argumentation against Christianity.
Wait, no, but
gets
you
much
but you don't have to, right? You can just run the argument. You say, "Well, yeah, well, like I'm not like hard locked on it, but as of right now, this just appears to be the most consistent spiritual position that I could hold to."
Like maybe I just don't intuitively feel that, and I don't want to be dishonest.
That's fine.
But I get what you mean. Well, unless there's anything else from two of you, this will...
Scott.
Well-
By the way, yeah, I would say you guys. I'd say both of you lost, right? But try again. Talk to Brooks again and say, "Listen, this was kind of a train wreck on both of our parts. Accept fault. Get a better mod. I
No.
love you, Parker."
I doubt
And-
he'll ever do a live debate again.
I think so.
Okay, that is where everybody failed. If we
Wait,
if
before we
we
go to that, I have one
lost
thing I want to
Brooks,
say. We should do things where we should get them to do 2-hour live, where we do evil, we do resurrection, we could do multiple ones. But my point as to why we wanted to make it more broad was that we know that Brooks isn't going to do too many like debate streams.
well, wait, okay. The greatest gift that you would have given the debate community is a good experience where Brooks wanted to come back. That should have been the goal, to get Brooks to want to come back and talk to people within
I
the
agree with you.
sphere, like
I agree with you. That'd be
Amdir or
perfect.
J Mike or whoever.
That'd be so cool, bro. I literally fucking wish that could happen. I wish that we could have had a productive conversation. I wish that I could have touched on more issues than just the LPOE. I wish that he could have given me responses to my critique of Resurrection. I wish that all those things could have occurred. And honestly, I wish that I just told him straight up that I don't think he gave me a sufficient rebuttal of my logical problem of evil, but we can move on nonetheless as long as he recognizes that. But I didn't do that because instead I chose to grill the fuck out of him on the LPOE in an attempt to say, or in an attempt to show that he literally had no response, and all of his objections were pretty bad and pretty mute, etc. But I feel like there was ways and things that I could have done to make the debate more productive. But overall,
all things considered, it could have been more.
Okay, wait. All things
Yeah.
considered,
Overall-
it could have been more
overall,
productive.
like-
But Dean,
Brooks just didn't engage with my argument. All of his critiques were really piss poor bad, and you know that's the reality of it.
Okay, well, how do we set up between like a conversation between Shark and Brooks? How do we do this, man?
He wouldn't
Right,
do
'cause
that.
what?
He
do you
don't
mean
know
wouldn't do
you.
that?
Shark, 99% likelihood. That
Oh,
he
you
probably
want me to
wouldn't.
just make like 7 videos back and forth and just like insult his
He-
hairline or something, bro?
No, he probably just wouldn't respond. Like, I've been trying to get Brooks to debate me for so long. I tried to get him to debate Danny. I've sent him messages for well over a year. I think about a year at this point, right? Trying to get him to come on my live. It was not only until the Dean scenario where he's actually been willing to come on the live.
I'll offer him a paycheck.
I don't. Okay, I mean, I would love.
I don't
for
think he's
him
in it
to
for money.
accept This.
I didn't
don't
say that
think
he's
in it for money
Hey,
either.
that's fine. Okay, how about this? I will donate a certain amount of money to a charity of his choice if he comes and talks to me for 2 hours.
Yeah, I would say that's better.
All right. Well, I appreciate you for coming up, Mr. Shark.
We'll talk later, brother.
Good to hear from you, man.
Later.
L
Love you,
Shark.
brother. L Shark.
Amdir, what were your thoughts?
I think that Brooks. Well, I think that the conversation was like very hard to follow at times. I think you were going a little bit too fast, so it was hard to see sort of steps of the reasoning process. I also think that Brooks is like really bad at controlling the conversation. Like you had controlled the conversation almost the entire time, which is good. I mean, that's what you want to do in a debate. What do you want? Something more specific? I don't know what I'm being asked.
I was just asking. Parker, I'll leave this. I'll put the control back in your hands because I know that you're streaming. Do you want to like go back to like just whatever you want to do? I'll let you control this now.
Oh no, I was just like willing to talk about this. I honestly, looking back on it, probably the debate probably could have benefited more from like a more set of moderation. Thinking back on it, that's probably expected that like Brooks wouldn't necessarily know the flow of the convo as he hasn't had as much experience. So I mean that's just like a flow of convos, like a really basic thing
Also,
that
like,
a
a lot
moderator
of
should have
times-
been able to put in. So that I definitely take responsibility there.
A lot of times in these debates, it's good to have it like one person is sort of presenting an argument and the other person is critiquing it. Kind of turns into a mess when you have two people presenting an argument and then they both want their argument addressed and they both want like they're kind of having two different conversations with each other. But that's sort of like more of a point of process than a point of like the actual debate.
Yeah, I agree with that.
How
Yeah.
are you doing, Scott?
I think AMD is wrong on everything, so I don't agree with that actually.
I think that trivialism is true, and if trivialism is true,
No,
then
don't do that. Don't do that.
then every proposition that Scott believes is false.
No.
I mean, yeah, that's just the nature of reality.
Listen, all things considered, right?
Anyways, everybody catch me defending atheism as child abuse at 6 p.m. EST tomorrow.
Yes. Wait, are you actually gonna run that?
Yeah, on Sharks Live.
Dude, that's so funny. Have you debated at QTop yet?
I've debated QTop like a few times. Dean was there one of the time.
Yeah,
Oh,
you
God,
destroyed him.
I would love to see that. That would just be so funny. I'm guessing you just got really mad and started screaming.
He might have started praying at one point. I don't know.
Dude, that's so funny. But yeah, I don't know. I think we went over everything related to the debate. I don't think there's anything else to really go over at that point.
Well, at the end of the day, I think that'll go down as one of the worst major TikTok debates like ever.
Real.
Like that was terrible. That was terrible. I'm so upset because of how shit that conversation was.
I'm seeing someone called Jason Lee Scott with their hand up. It might be interesting if you let them on.
I'll look.
Who's Jason Lee Scott?
Are they not here?
I think I
looking
found
now.
them. Mason, I think, is their name.
You can add them up if you see them. There's
Alright.
there's so many
Oh.
profile pictures I can't even.
Fuck this guy. Fuck this guy.
Oh, this isn't Jason Lee Scott.
Is this?
Okay,
Yeah.
well then I fucking get out of here then.
Fuck that guy. His name is Based. He's D1 hater.
Okay. I don't see
So
anybody else that
that's
name.
good. But also Mason. I think Mason does want to say something. I don't know if you know Mason. Happy go lucky.
Happy go lucky. Yeah,
If
here
you
we go.
find them, Matt, go for it.
I got it.
Hey, what's going on?
Mason.
Yeah, I mean, I watched a bit of that. That kind of. I mean, I thought Brooks was really horrible and unimpressive. So, I mean, I'm surprised you really I'm surprised you granted him the resurrection thing. But I thought, I guess, plausibly, your idea was like, okay, well, if my logical problem succeeds, then, this sort of kind of support for the resurrection isn't very relevant anymore, I guess.
Yeah, that's kind of what he was saying. I mean, and then the second point of the convo, I honestly was hoping that they could have gotten more into that because, I mean, I even think Dean has some decent responses to the resurrection bit. So I was actually looking forward to that.
Yeah, me too.
Was there ever some argument for premise 9?
No, he never defended it. I remember him not defending it after Dean said he rejected it.
Oh, shame.
Maybe
Like,
we
how
just
would
didn't
he
get to that
even-
point, I think.
Like Emily, do you think he would have to like I don't know, like I feel like I'd want like a kind of Bayesian argument for that. I don't know how else it'd be useful to defend that.
It was kind of weird. I'd have to reread over the way he formalized it. He like switched from some like he seemed like he almost switched to a probabilistic argument close to the end. Like it started by drawing out like all the logically possible sort of like ways that the resurrection testimonies could be, but then it ended in like probably God exists or something. I have to read back over to see why it like switched to probabilistic halfway. But I agree, if it's probabilistic, I would want to see it like more explicit how it's getting there, like if it's using Bayesian reasoning or something else, or what it's doing.
Yeah, I think it was like something like he got to a conclusion that Jesus resurrected, and there was a condition which was like, if that's true, then God probably exists. So God
exists or something.
Yeah, he
I
was
mean,
making a condition.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, if you also
I'm not
reject
sure why
all-
he would think that.
Yeah, like yeah, that doesn't really seem clear.
Wait, is my internet bad, or is everybody not talking?
Oh, everyone's kind of not talking. I think everyone's kind of just at the end of the. Everyone's
I mean-
kind of done.
I'm just interested on like what the consensus is, because
Did
of
my
course,
internet go out?
Of course,
Oh,
I have
okay,
a
couldn't
hear anybody
yeah,
there.
yeah. Amdir's internet cut out.
Of course, I have a consensus in my head, but it's obviously probably going to be biased. But I think that the consensus in my head is that he couldn't critique my argument.
Yes, Alana, I am going to be doing debates later. I'm going to join Harry's once he goes live here in a minute. But thank you so much for the $5. I appreciate all the gifts here today, everyone.
Do you think?
Probably not.
Oh, because I want someone who like has some connections with him to ask if he'll talk with me about the Kalam, because I know he's like a big William Lane Craig fan.
I actually, I think, I don't think he would. He actually cited one of the reasons why he didn't want to do a debate between me and, like separately, also like with the one where he did with Dean, because he didn't want to have to debate. Literally, he specifically named you, J. Mike, and
Me?
Danny.
Wait, he named? How does Brooks know who I am? I've never talked to him before.
I'm pretty sure he named your name, didn't he, Dean?
Probably.
I'm pretty sure he
Wait,
did.
did he explain like why he didn't want to talk to Amdir, or like?
Oh, he just said that he didn't want to have to go through the whole community.
He's
I've
scared of
never
the
Oh, I see.
I mean, I've never been like, well, actually, let me not lie. I'm usually not mean to people in debate.
He's scared of the
Usually.
conversation. The only reason he accepted conversation with me is because he thought I was dumb. I mean, like, be so fucking for real. Like, so many like people think that. Like, Amdir, I'm sure you know like a lot of people that you kind of have in that circle that just actually think I'm dumb, and I think that he assumed the same thing.
Yeah, I think it's also partially because like you tend to have like a larger platform too. But like I think he should know like vast like he's getting a philosophy degree, right? So for the kind of asymmetry with like, your training, I think like you did like way like better with regards to like, given that he's like studying philosophy and stuff, and he should have done far better than he did.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I mean, granted, he also doesn't have a lot of experience with like debating people, like on these types of panels. So I mean,
Yeah, I think he has a lot of experience with exercise because he runs a lot.
that's crazy. Yeah, athlete, Olympic class athlete. But yeah, I think.
Wait,
I
Parker,
think,
are you still going to talk to him? Are you still going
I
to
mean,
talk to him?
I was thinking that we would. Maybe we
Well,
can
you
go
guys
into
are
the
fine.
resurrection stuff or something.
Yeah, bro,
Who?
please press him on resurrection. Press him on all those points. I'm so upset about that all, man.
Yeah.
Wait, who are you talking? You're talking to Brooks again?
I might be.
Parker's
Like a separate, more informal conversation. He said that he would be willing to do. But I don't know. He hasn't really said much else. So hopefully.
Does Brooks have a Discord server?
Not to my
He
knowledge.
does.
He does.
He does, yeah. It's called Nilsendeo or something.
Oh, I didn't know that was Brooks. I'm in that server actually.
Yeah, it's full of idiots. I'm pretty sure I'm banned from there. I might be wrong though.
I might tag him in there. See if he'll come on.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I was gonna say like I
How was
heard
that
Brooke
debate too?
because I had to switch because I wanted to watch the fight, but I heard at some point. So I heard the last thing I heard is like Brooks was like he'll concede to your kind of definition that like good means it ought to occur or something like that, then
Dude,
what
yeah, he
what
did.
happened from
He
there?
did. He did. He did. He did. And Scott, fuck you, Scott. Wait, actually, where's Scott at? Nope. Fuck you, Scott. Get back up here. Get back up here, Scott. Where did he go? Oh, he's gone now. He did, bro. He conceded. He absolutely and unequivocally conceded that if something is good, it means it should occur, and if
Okay.
something is not bad, it means it shouldn't occurred. He conceded to that because he had no counter argument, and then when I presented the logical problem of evil, all of a sudden he walked it all
Yeah,
back because he
exactly.
didn't have a response.
It just sounded to me like so he said like I'm just conceding this to move on, and then and later he was like, okay, well no, I no longer think your definitions. Like, that just sounded like a contradiction to me. But I mean, there was a gap in the debate I missed. But like, was your argument like laid out like formally? So like was it like kind of informal?
It was mishmash. But in the summary, premise one, an all good God would only allow. I'll just give you a very short rendition. Premise one, an all good God would only allow things in which all things considered should occur. A lot of back and forth, but that's the conclusion. I've yet to have someone present me with a reason to believe that I'm wrong. Premise number two, God allowed the Holocaust, or XYZ, whatever the fuck. Conclusion, the Holocaust, XYZ, whatever the fuck should have occurred. What it means for something, to like what it means to say something should have occurred to goodness, as he conceded to, and what you get as the Holocaust was good.
Yeah, okay, I see the general idea. So I assume he denied that the Holocaust is like all things considered evil. Either he denied that, or maybe he denied the first thing, that God would only allow things that all things considered should occur. Like, do you know exactly what he denied, or was it like unclear?
No fucking clue, dude. At first he said that the Holocaust should have happened, but then he talked about like maybe it shouldn't have. And he went on to a distinction between the fact that God should have allowed something.
Okay.
But like what he allowed still, like all things considered, shouldn't have occurred, which was
At one
mishmash.
point, it sounded like maybe he was trying to make a distinction between the like deontic goods or evaluative goods. So maybe there's people doing things that they have an obligation not to do in the best state of affairs, like something like that. That sounded at one point like that might be what he was trying to push back.
I think, well, there's pushback with like some epistemic sense of should and like some moral sense of should, which I was just all over the place with. I could have been more concise. Is the idea that if something should occur, it doesn't necessarily mean it's good in a moral sense, which maybe I gave him pushback on, maybe not, who knows, but the point is, he's right. And like the point is, that's fine because
Well, I think that that's like it's true that not everything that should occur, it like is good in the moral sense. But I think you were trying to say the opposite. If something's good in the moral sense, it should occur, right?
Yeah.
Because like here's something that should occur. Like I should form true beliefs, but it's not like a moral should or moral ought.
And does anyone contend that? Do you contend that, Amdir?
Oh no, that's true.
And that was his counter argument. So looks like I beat him because he was wrong.
Oh.
I mean, if you guys talk to him again, maybe like try to have the argument formally prepared, because so then it's like it'll prevent kind of a lot of the weaseling where he'll be like, well, this, no, this, like kind of removes kind of the vague areas. Like you could just say like exactly what he's kind of denying.
Yep. Now I got to go through all those clips and actually trim this down to like 5 minutes and post it.
All right. Well, it was good debate. See you guys later.
All right. See you later, everyone. Appreciate y'all.
All right, Parker, you hopping off for the day?
Well, I'm actually gonna be joining Harry for a
Hell yeah,
Clubhouse.
bro. I got 2 of my accounts banned for a week because of that, by the way.
Dude, that's so fucking annoying, man. That's so ridiculous, bro.
At some point, you should call me.
I will. I'll call you right now, actually. While he is. Well, I'll end it, everyone, for a minute, and I'll be back right here in a few minutes. Once I'm on Harry's live, once he's there. But I appreciate everyone coming to the YouTube live. This was a fucking incredibly insane live on YouTube. But appreciate everyone coming through. I will be on YouTube a bit here in a minute. Again, if you want to support me, as always, Venmo, Cash App in the bio of this. But appreciate everyone. Thank you so much, and peace out, y'all.